Possibly the last game ever for the Jets at Shea Stadium. Dick Henberg with Merlin Olsen. Bradshaw's been the story, but how about the story of the game?
I think it's going to be hammered out on the line of scrimmage, and I'm talking running game here, Dick. South took the heat for the 3 losses in Pittsburgh, but the running game has really let them down. They have not been able to run the ball effectively. They have not been able to stop the run. On the other side of the coin, Freeman McNeil's return to the Jets has brought them 3 victories. That means a better passing game for them and the ability to run the football.
Well, McNeil with over 100 yards as he returned for the Jets against Baltimore last week, while Franco Harris has gained only 66 yards in the last 3 games for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, Terry Bradshaw, he's going to have to get some protection today, and I know your eyes light up when you look inside. You had double vision this week.
Everybody's talked about pressure, and that being the key to Bradshaw's return. You talk about pressure, you talk about the Jets, you talk about Gastineau and Klecko. Gastineau leads the NFL in sacks. You look on the other side of the line of scrimmage, the 2 men assigned to protect Bradshaw, Brown and Boris. Boris in place of Corson. They have a tough job lined out for them today.
I know you don't want to be a coach or enjoying what you're doing right now, but let's just say you're the defensive coordinator for the Jets. How would you attack Bradshaw today?
I don't think there's any miracle here, and I think most people would agree. You go right after Bradshaw. You put the pressure squarely on his shoulders. You blitz, you cover his receivers short, and you make him throw the ball deep.
Chuck Noll has made the gamble. He figured he had to do something to break the Steelers out of this slump of 3 straight losses. And his opponent across the way, Joe Walton. His team has rallied. They still have a slim playoff hope alive after winning their last 3 in a row to run their record to 7-7. The Cleveland Browns, a very important team, figuring in both these teams' destinies. And we'll talk about that later as Anderson kicks it off to the Jets. To the 15, to the 20, out to the 25-yard line. As Preston Brown has a first down for the Jets. And you hear in the background the French-Canadian broadcast as this game is being carried not only throughout the United States but throughout North America. Richard Todd is the quarterback. Freeman McNeil has returned to the lineup, and the Jets are 5-2 with him in the lineup. You saw Barber, the fullback, Wesley Walker, 60 catches. Lamb Jones, he's had his best year with 33 receptions, and the tight end, the emeritus for the Jets, Jerome Barkham. Chris Ward at left tackle. Joe Pellegrini and a makeshift offensive line caused by injuries. The key one at center, where Guy Bingham has replaced Joe Fields, the Pro Bowler. Dan Alexander, another solid season for the Jets at right guard, and Marvin Powell at right tackle. We have a delay off the start, and since the Jets have not broken huddle, perhaps we'll have a chance to give you the Pittsburgh Steelers lineup. I don't know what that is about. The defense for the Steelers, John Goodman, defensive left defensive end, Gary Dunn at nose tackle, and on the right side of their 3-4 lineman, Tom Beasley. The linebackers are very happy with Mike Merriweather, who's replaced Jack Ham on the outside. Of course, Jack Lambert going for his 9th consecutive All-Pro year. The veteran Lauren Taves also on the inside, and Robin Cole. The deep 4, Dwayne Woodruff, considered the best of the defensive backs for the Steelers, often gets solo coverage. Mel Blount, the veteran, 57 career interceptions. And the safeties are Donnie Shell and Rick Woods. And we're set to go. First down for the Jets at their own 25-yard line. McNeil dropped for a 2-yard loss as Dwayne Woodruff, number 49, came up from the corner along with Donnie Shell. They were looking for a run, and they guessed right.
Dick, if you're going to turn your fortunes around when things have not been going well for you, you've got to have everybody playing tougher football. The defense has started hot here.
No huddle by the Jets. They come right back to the line of scrimmage on 2nd and 12. It's McNeil, and that didn't fool the Steelers either, as he's tripped up at the 25 by John Goodman. It'll be 3rd down and 10, and again the Jets do not huddle. Well, that's an interesting wrinkle by Joe Walton.
Walton's trying to keep the substitutions off the field for the Steelers.
So the Steelers unable to come in with their pass prevent, their nickel and dime defenses. Todd complete, but short of the first down is fullback Marion Barber, who has replaced Dwayne Crutchfield. Crutchfield, of course, cut by the Jets and is now playing for Houston. On 4th and 1. In comes the punting team for New York.
No team in football uses more defensive substitutions than the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'm sure that Joe Walton's thinking is if they stay on the field without a huddle, Pittsburgh has got to go with the players on the field. That really forces a change in the Steelers' plans defensively.
Chuck Ramsey averaging exactly 40 yards a punt. One of 5 punters from Knoxville, Tennessee, to succeed in the National Football League, and one of them is Craig Colquitt, the Pittsburgh Steelers kicker today. Paul Scansey, the rookie from Washington, at the other end at the Steeler 25. He comes up and fair catches at the 33-yard line. So the Steelers get good field position, and here comes Bradshaw. Terry Bradshaw, 210 touchdowns, 210 career interceptions. What a pressure position for Bradshaw, and he loves it. Pollard, one of his running backs, and Franco Harris closing in on Jim Brown's all-time rushing marks. The rookie from Penn State, Greg Garrity, Calvin Sweeney from USC. The tight end, here's one face that Bradshaw knows. Benny Cunningham is tight end. The others are fairly unknown. We'll give you the offensive line in a moment. And off to Pollard, and he slams forward for 7 yards before Lance Mell can trip him up. It'll be 2nd down and 3. The offensive line for the Steelers, Tunch Ilkin at left tackle for the injured Ted Peterson, Craig Wolfley at left guard, the All-Pro from Tomahawk, Wisconsin, Mike Webster at center, Boris for the injured Corson at right guard, and Larry Brown, a Pro Bowler, at right tackle. 2nd down along 3. Harris on a draw, and he runs right into Woodring. John Woodring was coming on a blitz and hit the right hole. A loss for Harris. And let's check that green jersey Jet defense. Gastineau leading the NFL in sacks with 18. Klecko inside. He had 3 sacks at Baltimore last Sunday. Marty Lyons at right defensive tackle with Kenny Neal on the outside right. Linebackers in the 4-3 set. Woodring, Crable, and Lance Mell, who leads NFL linebackers with 7 interceptions.
Bradshaw's first pass.
Incomplete. Broken up by Johnny Lynn, intended for Calvin Sweeney. And that pass did not have the zip on it that Bradshaw's arm usually would provide. He says he's about 80%.
Let's take a quick look at the defensive backs for the Steelers, or for the Jets. You saw the first one, Jackson, Holmes, good cornerbacks, both of them. Kenny Schroy, a real tough hitter, and the big play man in the secondary, Darrell Ray.
Kirk Springs is at the other end for the Jets. He leads the NFL in punt returns. Had a touchdown against New Orleans. He's at the 17. Colquitt. Oh, good job by Colquitt to handle that low snap. Springs at the 20, 25, and hammered down by the Steelers. Odom and Hinkle were there first.
Colquitt has never had a kick blocked. You saw him scramble there.
45-yard punt, 5-yard return. Can't say that in French. Au revoir. We'll be right back.
One look tells you the Mazda 626 Sports Sedan is no ordinary front-wheel drive sedan. Its comfortable interior includes a driver's seat that adjusts 6 ways and split fold-down rear seats that lead to a huge trunk. And while you expect the 626 to be an exceptional value, its value as a road car is exceptional indeed. The more you look, the more you like. The Mazda Experience.
11:05 p.m. The Hospital for Special Surgery, New York. And where are the surgeons? Watching television. Not just any television. A Sony with the remarkable Trinitron system for a picture that's critically focused, critically lifelike. Maybe that's why Sony won an Emmy for its picture. Something no other TV could have done. Not if their life depended on it.
Week for that man in the jacket. Cliff Stout, who's been the quarterback all season long for the Pittsburgh Steelers, benched after this 3-game losing streak.
Never easy. Stout has taken it well, but he has to be dying. It's got to be eating him up inside, Dick, and there's no question in my mind that this has got to be one of the toughest weeks that he has ever gone through.
The Jets have never beaten several teams, and they've had 6 shots at the Steelers, while Pittsburgh winning all 6. Dallas, Philadelphia, Seattle, and Washington the others.
The last time they met back in '81, the Steelers really romped over the Jets, and in talking to the Jets, they expected the Steeler format and their game plan to be much the same as it was in that particular game.
We were making some references to the French broadcast, and apparently that was not being heard by you at home, but it was very loud and clear in our own earphones, and that's why we made reference to it. And now we're set. Joe Walton, what a nice man. We had a pleasant visit with him yesterday. You could see the wear and tear in his face, though, couldn't you?
It's been a painful season for the Jets, and in particular for their new coach, Joe Walton. And you say he's a nice man. There's no question about that, Dick. I maybe wonder if he isn't a little bit too nice. Most of the successful coaches, long run in the NFL, have to have a bit of a mean streak in them. At least mean enough to command that instant respect from all of their players.
Yeah, no question. There's the hard edge to the Shulas and the Landrys and the Knowles and the Grants. No score. First down at the 25. Freeman McNeil for about 3. Mike Merriweather and company made the tackle for Pittsburgh.
It looks like they're going to go back and huddle at this point. Running that first series without a huddle, they were not successful. They have decided now to go back and drop into a regular huddle situation.
They tried to get me to call somebody.
Craig Colquitt banged up a knee apparently on that last punt. We don't know how serious. It appears he's okay. Second down 7. Jones to the right, Barkham tight end right, with a speedy Walker to the left. Todd. Lamb Jones to the 50. "24 yards before Merriweather could track him down at the Pittsburgh 49.
We're going to give you a chance to ride the quarterback's hip pocket back on this one. This pass dangerously close to the hands of the linebackers and the secondary, just over the top, but a perfect strike, and Lamb Jones went down and dug it out. He's had some trouble hanging onto the football. He did not drop that one.
Set knee down at the 49, 18 yards for Jones. Having his best year for the Jets. That's Barber, the fullback, leading McNeil. Just a couple of yards. The Pittsburgh Steeler defense, no question, that's been the strength of this team. Hey, it's been a surprising year for Pittsburgh. Most all the so-called experts had the Steelers picked not to win their division. Then they ran off those 7 in a row and spoiled everyone.
Well, in fact, just exactly the opposite of the kind of season the Jets have had. They were expected to be the front runners for a Super Bowl berth. They had a disappointing early season. They've now come back. A virtual slump by the Steelers. They've just kind of flip-flop positions, Dick.
You saw with McNeil, the Jets are a different team. 5-2 with, 2-5 without. And this is McNeil. And the leading rusher in the NFL last year has a first down, but a penalty flag is down.
Penalty marker on the play.
Rick Woods limping back, and the signal from the Steelers and from the official is that it will go against the Jets, nullifying that excellent run by Freeman McNeil.
Walton, who played his college football at Pittsburgh, ready to send Lamb Jones in with a play as they mark off 10 yards. Here's
number 88, offense, second down.
Bob McElwee. Referee Tom Coombs, the third tight end for the Jets, called for the hold. This is what the Jets were trying to prevent by the no huddle, that mass substitution that Chuck Noll uses on defense. You see Woods coming out, the young man from Boise State. Ron Johnson will replace him at safety. Little confusion by the Jets. That's McNeil in motion. He had the open man, Wesley Walker, but overshot him. Walker had some room, tied a little high with a throw.
An all-out blitz. Wesley Walker had found some open turf in that secondary. 3 linebackers chasing Richard Todd. He could not find the open receiver. Dwayne Woodruff working in behind him. The pass simply thrown over the head of Wesley Walker and in front of Lamb Jones, number 80.
Now, Ron Johnson had ducked in front, and it could be that Todd was trying to make sure that the other safety, Jones, didn't pick it off. 3rd and long. to 92, Keith Gary, a former All-American at Oklahoma, his 7th of the year, his first in quite a while.
And the 47th by the Steelers on the season. Gary will get more playing time today. Keith Willis, who's their leading sacker with 14, has been nursing a bad ankle and has not been able to do much in the last few weeks. In fact, since the Thanksgiving Day game in which he was injured.
Gary's first sack since, remember the game in which he injured Ken Anderson of the Cincinnati Bengals. It had his effect. Kind of like if a pitcher hits a baseball hitter, he's not quite the same himself. Ramsey's punt, a beauty, spiraling deep. Scansey at the 16. And down at the 23, John Woodring made the tackle for the New York Jets. Timeout here at Shea Stadium. We played 6 minutes. No score.
If you're ready for high-performance photography, the Minolta X700 program system is ready for you. Computerized, motorized, systematized. Total capability, from fully programmed where you set nothing, even with flash, to creative manual where you control everything. The high-performance Minolta X700, voted camera of the year on 2 continents. Only from the mind of Minolta.
There's a lot of low-priced trucks out there, but this one's the best truck value. Mazda B2000 Sundowner. At $57.95, it's the only economy truck with a 5-speed, steel-belted radials, tinted glass, and full carpeting, all standard, which also happens to make it the lowest-priced truck in America with all that standard equipment.
Sakes alive, sakes alive, sakes alive. Mazda's got the best truck value for just $57.95. Sakes alive.
Sunday, a crazy lady and a bantamweight bandit give the Smokies the slip, and the bad guys the clip. It's Robert Blake, high-end cannon, coast to coast, Sunday.
Old Glory, barely a wrinkle on a beautiful day.
That's a real advantage for Bradshaw. When the wind blows here at Shea, a quarterback must throw the ball a great deal harder than on a day like today.
No one will be able to blame the weather here in December in this contest. Franco Harris across the 25 to the 26 just to clean up some unfinished business. The punt by Ramsey, a beauty, was a 51-yard kick, and it's now Pittsburgh at their 26-yard line.
It's on the line of scrimmage, as we'd indicated, where the battle is going to be won or lost today. We talked about the matchup right there. Klecko and Gastineau, Brown and Boris. Klecko, a powerful player of the run, doing a good job of shutting off that hole. Excellent play inside, even though he did not make the tackle.
Just caved in that whole side of the line. Bradshaw down the middle, Cunningham. And Bradshaw has his first completion and a first down at midfield. 24 yards on the play.
His second pass, and both passes thrown on target. A good sign, I think, for the Steelers, perhaps a bad sign for the Jets. Let's take an eye and take a moment to watch Bradshaw. Look at the throwing motion. Let's see how comfortable he is. Not trying to overpower the football, but an accurate throw, an excellent throw, anticipating the move by the receiver.
And you said the word anticipation. That's what they were criticizing Stout about, that he waited too long. He didn't anticipate the break. He waited until the break had occurred. Thus his passes were late. Pollard running through the Jets all the way to the 28-yard line. Frank Pollard, 22 yards before Darrell Ray could finally trip him up.
Bradshaw talked realistically about his responsibilities on the field. He said, I've spent as much time trying to get the running game pumped up, talking to our running backs and our line, as I have worrying about the passing game. Perhaps he has done that. Pollard has been their most effective runner in the past, and certainly is that effective in that particular play. Good block by Franco Harris, 32 inside, to help spring Pollard outside.
22 yards for Pollard, and the Steelers are deep at the Jets 28. Harris around Woodring, and he's inside the Jets 20 to the 19, and he did it with that clever little dancing move as he jitterbugged around Woodring.
One of the other things that Terry Bradshaw will be doing today is dumping the ball off short. He realizes the fact that he is not going to be able to fire the ball 80 yards down the field, and that means taking advantage of the zone defenses, which are such an important part of the Jets' defensive game plan, just as he did with that quick flip to Franco Harris.
Well, he said, I know Harris and I know Cunningham. He said, some of those other fellas, I had to introduce myself. Jitterbugged on the last one. He tiptoed that time, and there wasn't much of a hole. Lance Mel there to say hello for the Jets. It's good enough for a first down at the New York 17.
Perhaps in helping to explain the lack of a running game for the Steeler offense, they have had real injury troubles in their offensive line, Dick. And those injuries continue. Of course, and it had been expected to start the game today, and at the last moment was taken out of that starting lineup.
That's our little Gus camera. The end zone, a special feature today. Bradshaw. Incomplete. Drake. Calvin Sweeney it was in the far corner. Sweeney. Jerry Holmes to break it up, but that was a jump ball in the end zone.
But that was an excellent pass, and the one thing that Terry Bradshaw has always had is a quick release. Watch how quickly, when Bradshaw decides to throw the football, look how quickly it's out of his hand and on its way. A great anticipation play by the defensive back that time, turning just at the right moment to bat that ball away. Otherwise, that's a touchdown, Dick. Terry's thrown the ball right on target.
Yes, indeed. Oh, he's been sharp in that regard. Maybe not quite as strong, but he's been accurate. 2nd and 10. That one is zinged. Incomplete. Cunningham and Pollard were in the same area, and that drew 3 Jets to the play.
The one thing that I would be really concerned about if I were Chuck Noll is that Bradshaw might try and do too much in the early part of this game, might get carried away by the emotion and try and put too much on the ball. If he does indeed do that, he could injure that arm further. He is probably going to have some fatigue problems as this game goes on anyway.
You know he's going to be sore tomorrow.
Oh, will he ever? But he's got enough adrenaline pumping right now to get him through this ball game.
Steelers trying to culminate this long drive with a score to break this scoreless deadlock. Bradshaw in the end zone. Touchdown, Greg Garrity. That's one of the kids he said he didn't even know. Garrity, touchdown, Pittsburgh. And for Garrity, his first pro touchdown, and he gets it from Bradshaw.
And you see Joe Walton just shaking his head over there. Bradshaw capitalizing on his ability to get away from the rush, got a little extra time, and drops the ball in behind the Jet defenders here between Schroy, number 48, Holmes, number 47. A fine jumping catch by Garrity, and it's a 7-point lead for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Gary Anderson tacking on the extra point. Well, the irony, Bradshaw said, who are you again, kid? Good catch.
Well, that white horse is running pretty good, isn't he?
Indeed. There he did a good scramble away from Gastineau's pressure, spotted the open man, and Garrity hugs 6 points. Pittsburgh leads at 7-0. 5 minutes, 15 seconds left in the first quarter.
Your first look tells you the Mazda GLC sedan is not your basic economy sedan. Its luxurious interior includes a 5-speed overdrive and split fold-down rear seats leading to a huge trunk. And while it's nice to know about the front-wheel drive GLC sedan's value, it's perhaps even nicer to know it's such fun to drive. The more you look, the more you like the Mazda Experience.
Tonight you're still a bachelor.
Tomorrow's almost here, so while you're still a free man, let's bring on the beer.
Bull, bull. On this night to remember, it's so clear. You deserve to celebrate with more taste than beer. The bull's got a taste so big, so bold, so smooth. Let's all party with the Schlitz malt liquor bull. Don't say beer, say bull. Hey gang, how about another bull? No one does it like the bull.
Next Saturday, don't miss a special NFL 83. This one's an interconference war. The Cincinnati Bengals roar into Minnesota against the always tough Vikings. The NFL season goes into its final weekend. What a battle on NBC.
Well, that's a Quinella that's never been called before. Bradshaw to Garrity, touchdown Pittsburgh, 7-0 late in the first quarter, and now Anderson to kick it off. Preston Brown in the Jets end zone. 10. And he's hit at about the 16-yard line. Good coverage by David Little from the University of Florida for Pittsburgh, along with Henry Odom, number 44.
That's the way to nullify the #1 return man on kickoff returns in the league. You boot it deep in the end zone.
77 yards. Bradshaw engineers the drive. 8 plays, less than 4 minutes. 17 yards on the touchdown to Garrity. And Merlin, that does something for Pittsburgh that they've not had in this losing streak. They're ahead early, where in the past couple of games they've dropped behind in the first quarter by a couple of touchdowns to Detroit and also last week to Cincinnati.
Dick, in the last 3 ball games, their defense has been on the field 39 minutes. Their offense 21 minutes on an average.
Richard Todd, lots of time. Mickey Schuler has it at the 30, close to a first down. It is a first down, 13 yards on the play. Dwayne Woodruff makes a tackle, and they're working on the elbow of Bradshaw. We may see Cliff Stout sooner than everyone thought.
Ralph Berlin, the trainer for the Steelers, down massaging Terry's elbow. But no, you're going to have to get Terry out of there with a baseball bat today. Getting off to this kind of start will only feed that enthusiasm, and he has got to be just terribly bubbling over on that sideline, Dick.
He didn't act like a 35-year-old yesterday, did he? About a 15-year-old colt when we saw him here at Shea. First down carry. McNeil plowing forward. Robin Cole and Jack Lambert make the tackle for Pittsburgh after about a 3-yard gain.
Dick, the one thing the Jets cannot afford to do here is to get caught up in this Bradshaw thing. They have got to play their kind of football. They've got to continue to do the things that have allowed them to win their last 3 games, and that's basically to attack the defense with the running game behind Freeman McNeil, and then to get the passing attack going as a result of that.
And the passing defense, the strength of the Steelers, so the Jets would like to keep the ball on the ground. Trailing 7-0, 4 minutes left first quarter. On 2nd and 7, Todd to Barber. Lauren Taves made the tackle, but it appears Barber has a first down at the 40.
It'd be a question of where the ball is marked. This the statistics are a little bit deceptive, Dick. You look at this losing streak for the defense of the Steelers in particular, and it's true that the ball has been run effectively against them. For example, the last 3 games, the ball has been run well over 40 times in each of those ball games. Not for a great average, but for ball control. Now they're hoping that they can force the Jets today to go up on top and throw the football. That's how they were effective early, taking away the ball on sacks and taking it away on interceptions. They have been a big play defense throughout the year.
Yeah, Billy Sims controlled it for the Lions on Thanksgiving last week.
Pete Johnson.
Big Pete Johnson.
Yeah. Of course, I didn't want to get out there tackling him. I was watching on TV.
That's right. And today it's Freeman McNeil in that role. First down, Jets at the 40. And this is McNeil. Ooh, hit hard. Taves and Lambert and Cole, the linebackers, all converging on McNeil. All-American at UCLA. Last year, the NFL's leading rusher in the shortened season with 786 yards. He's already close to 600 yards this year, despite the fact he missed half a year. In defense of the Jets, of course, everyone can sing the injury song this late in the year, but 2 great weapons, McNeil and the third down back Harper, Bruce Harper. They played together all year, only 1 quarter of 1 game. When one's been hurt, the other is in, and then now Harper is hurt and McNeil's back. 2nd and 8. Schuler had a first down in front of Ron Johnson, but could not pull it in.
Pass slightly offline from Richard Todd. Mickey Schuler got his hands on it, had a chance to make the catch for a big first down.
Jets have been a good late weather team. So-so since 72. Part of that being Shea Stadium. If you know this field and this stadium in bad weather, it has to be an advantage. But today it's certainly no plus for the Jets. This is just a perfect day for any team. On 3rd and 8. Right through the hands of Rick Woods, who has returned to the Steeler lineup. That was a sure interception. And the fans fire a few cat calls at Richard Todd.
Talking to Richard Todd, he mentioned the fact that he is disappointed in the number of interceptions on this season. Had felt that he'd really improved in that area. 13 2 years ago, 9 last year, up to 22 in this season, and that has really hurt them. A lot of their losses have been by narrow margins. In fact, 5 of the losses by 7 points or less, and many of those turned on the basis of interceptions.
Scansey at the 20. Ramsey, his kick at the 23. And Scansey returns to the 28-yard line. A timeout with 2:39 remaining in the first quarter after a 36-yard punt. 5-yard return. The Steelers have the ball and the lead. 7-0. It's goodbye to Shea Stadium for the New York Jets. One of the great moments, 1968 in the playoffs for the American Football League Championship. Number 12 Namath to number 13 Don Maynard, and the Jets were in the Super Bowl.
The amazing Renault Encore. Look how it feels with 4 wheels suspended independently for amazing cornering. And to see through a panoramic rear glass door. Look how the new Encore feels as it almost ignores gas pumps and offers interior space that's very flexible. For an amazing 5755, European design built in America. The new Renault Encore. Amazing.
The one to watch, the one to watch, the one to watch.
Renault.
These sheep produce some of the world's finest wool. Wool for luxurious fabrics used by the internationally known maker of menswear, Hager. For fine-fitting slacks and sport coats like these from Imperial by Hager, rich pure wools have been selected. Why does Hager choose fabrics of this quality? Because Hager wants you to look and feel your best.
Sunday on NFL 83, the Seahawks, the Browns, the Colts, the Chiefs, the Patriots. The playoff picture develops on NBC.
Terry Bradshaw, Steelers have the ball again. He commented about the new faces since he's been gone.
I swear I don't. They don't even shave, a couple of them. And I bumped into one kid, and I introduced myself. Well, it was Paul Scansey, and he's been with the team all year.
Well, there are a lot of problems in being absent. All the so-called difficulties between Noel and Bradshaw resolved. He's back in there trying to spur the Steelers back where they want to go into the playoffs. Jets trying to stop them as they endeavor to keep their slim hopes alive. Not much for Franco, and that's been the story of the last 6-7 games for Franco Harris, who's been stopped cold, or at least the Steeler running game has not been evident.
That's been the story for most of the Jets' opponents in the past few weeks, too. They have not been able to run the ball effectively. Now, they're the December weather for the Steelers. Usually they've had a playoff berth clinched by that time and have not usually had to win to find themselves in the playoffs.
At the 48-yard line. Frank Pollard, 17 yards, and he very quietly has done a solid job offensively for the Steelers. Coming into today's game, he has over 560 yards rushing and a 4.5 average. Not a bad receiver. He just isn't getting the calls that Franco Harris does, understandably, but Pollard has done a good job all year.
2 dangerous signs on that play. That pass very late in getting out there, not thrown well, a chance to intercept it, and then Pollard dropped the football. It went out of bounds. He literally just dropped it as he headed down the sideline.
First down, Pittsburgh. Pollard again. And he's to the Jet 42-yard line. Appears to be another first down before Schroy and Gastineau chasing the play could make the stop.
Most often during the season, you would find Greg Buttle at that left linebacking position. But his injury, and they placed him on injured reserve. He's not in there. Good job of sealing off Gastineau to the inside. You got to get out there, Mark. Part of your job is to flow along that line. Chance to watch Crable from the inside. Let's see if he gets caught up in the action there. Does indeed. Cut off by the guard on that particular play. Emil Bory's doing a good job. You've got to get inside out as a linebacker, and you've got to flow from those defensive line positions.
Yeah, there's some Pittsburgh fans here. Just in case, Stout keeping loose. First down, Steelers at the Jet 42. Franco has a blocker, 40, 30. That's to the 24-yard line, and that may be the longest run all year for Franco Harris, 19 yards. Prior to that gallop, his longest run was 16. That was it. It comes in the next to last game of the year. That tells you how much he earns every yard.
Frank Pollard, we talked about his running ability early in this game. Knocked Mark Gastineau right off his feet on that last play, opening the way for Franco. You see Gastineau shaking up. He goes up, number 99, right at the bottom of your screen, and there's the attack. And that's the way the running backs are taught to block those defensive ends. You just take that outside knee away from them. They have a hard time getting out in pursuit.
Not only the longest run this year for Franco, it's the longest run since 1981 for him, as he still has a shot at another 1,000-yard season. He started today, did Harris, with 848 yards. Gastineau appears to be okay. Pollard down low to cut out his feet. It's a first down for the Steelers, leading 7-0 with a minute remaining in the first quarter, and Pittsburgh driving at the Jet 24. To the 18-yard line. Kenny Neal had a shot at dropping him for a loss, but Pollard had just enough quickness to spurt out of that tackle attempt.
It's a game of inches, and Kenny Neal wishes his arms were just a couple of inches longer. He read the play well. He's the contain man, number 77, and he got a hand on Pollard, but Pollard is just too powerful. Ran right out of his grasp, gets out of bounds to the sideline, finally run out by number 28, Darrell Ray.
Game of 7. 2nd and 3. Gastineau has returned. Gastineau and Pleco. What a tandem on that defensive left side for the Jets. Oh, that Pollard pulling his way. The former Baylor Bear down inside that 15 for a first down at the 14.
Dick, Ahmad Rashad said something in the pregame show that I think is being borne out here in the early going. A quarterback does more than just call the plays and throw the football and hand it off. He really sets the tempo for an offense and indeed for a defense. Bradshaw's leadership, his enthusiasm, and his early success here have really set a good tempo for the Steeler team.
Well, you have the feeling that Chuck Noll was figuring that if they're going to get in the playoffs, that Bradshaw's the man. The Steelers need a win. If they win either today or in their final game at Cleveland, they're in the playoffs as a wild card. The Jets, on the other hand, they have to win both games today and at Miami next Friday night, and hope they get help elsewhere. Cleveland and Buffalo and Denver are all in that picture. But Bradshaw, if you can get 1 win and 2, the Steelers are in the playoffs. He's going to Hawthorne. Interference against Jackson of the Jets.
A smart play by Hawthorne. And that's the kind of call from our angle. It could have gone against either of the players. Hawthorne actually bumping the defender with his body. And I think that's what the official is asking for a conference for. He wants to know, was there offensive interference as well? But I think the call will go against the Jets.
40 defense. Offensive encroachment.
So it is offsetting fouls, encroachment by the Steelers.
But let's go and look at that particular play. The ball is already in the air. Now watch Hawthorne slow down here and actually bump Jackson right here. He stops and bumps Jackson. Now you could actually call that offensive interference if you wanted to. Jackson is entitled to go after the ball.
A no call probably would have been the best, but we have the advantage of watching it slow motion as Chuck Knoll, boy, didn't expect to be staring through into the sun here in mid-December in New York. The overcoats and the heavy weather gear are gone. Well, those two fouls as the Steelers had an encroachment call nullify one another, so no play. It's first down at the 14. 7-0 Pittsburgh. 11 seconds left in the quarter. Bradshaw down at the 11-yard line. Gastineau, of course, he can outrun Bradshaw. John Woodring also there, a 3-yard gain, and that is the end of the first quarter. 3 quarters to go, and maybe the last game ever for the Jets in Shea Stadium as a home team. 7-0 Pittsburgh under Bradshaw.
Introducing the amazing Renault Encore. Look how it feels to mold to the road with 4 wheels suspended independently. Feel it flow through hairpin curves. Look how the new Encore feels as it almost ignores gas pumps and provides front-wheel drive for extraordinary cornering. For an amazing 5755 European design built in America, the new Renault Encore. Amazing.
The one to watch, the one to watch, the one to watch.
Renault.
We are an explorer, a farmer, a miner, and an insurance company. We're a pipeline, a truck line, a gold mine, and a leasing company. We're a builder, a printer, a logger, and an energy company. We are more than 41,000 men and women working in 18 different industries all across America. We are Southern Pacific. We also run a railroad.
It's like Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Here in Flushing, New York, temperature 50. It feels even warmer. I guess it's all those layers of long underwear that we prepared with. First quarter statistics, Merlin.
They are, as you would expect, heavily balanced in favor of the Steelers, who have rushed the ball effectively. 98 yards. Been a long time since the Steelers could claim that in the first half, let alone a first quarter. And of course, they benefit with 7 points on the board. And they're looking for more.
Second down and 7 from the 11 of New York. Draw play to Franco. That stirs up some memories. Super Bowl call. Remember when Harris took that handoff against Dallas and slammed through for a key touchdown in Miami to win Pittsburgh one of its 4 Super Bowl championships, all under the gun of Bradshaw and the running of Harris, both men holding the playoff records for rushing and passing.
I think Bradshaw may have been told by Chuck Knoll and the trainer to use that arm sparingly. The draw play, an excellent way of doing that, as are the little toss-out passes, and he's used those effectively. He may have to go to the end zone here, Dick.
Third wide receiver is Wayne Capers, the rookie from Kansas, number 80.
And that's one of the problems we had to anticipate today. Communications are so critical, and when you have not been around for as long as Bradshaw has, you're bound to have a few problems. He had one there. They called a timeout.
7-0. The Steelers lead. Just underway, second quarter.
Okay, I'm changing the strategy. I just made a Michelob Light for the winners.
Would a bunch of guys really play this hard for a beer? Well, it is Michelob Light, the rich, smooth taste you can compare to any beer you like.
Michelob Light for the winners.
You know what I like most about winning this game?
What?
The trophy.
Michelob Light.
Introducing the amazing Renault Encore. Look how it feels to flow through hairpin curves. Feel the amazing response of electronic fuel injection. Look how the new Encore feels as it almost ignores gas pumps and mows to the road with 4 wheels suspended independently. For an amazing 5755 European design built in America, the new Renault Encore. Amazing.
The one to watch, the one to watch, the one to watch.
Renault.
Steelers so-so on third down. Bradshaw and Knoll in that huddle, and now Bradshaw will communicate the decision to his 10 teammates. And it has to be a bit of an inspiration when a veteran like Bradshaw ducks his head in there and says, all right, men, here it is.
They've cut down the game plan for him. 34 passing plays, about 29 running plays. That's about a third of what they normally go into a game with.
Third, a long 5. Looked as if he had a running screen from his teammate and was wide open.
Benny Cunningham, just like a big bulldozer, driving into the end zone. Sweeney just delaying a little bit and cutting in behind Benny Cunningham. But they're coming right at our little camera set up high on that goalpost, and you'll get a feeling for what it feels like to be down there in the end zone. You see Sweeney just cutting across on the heels of Cunningham for the touchdown.
Ooh, Anderson just does hook that one through. And the Steelers have built a 14-0 lead. Well, the Jets are moving from Shea to Giant Stadium. The old stadiums are disappearing one by one. The dinosaurs. You see Bradshaw. He's in some pain.
I think he hurt his arm.
Here's one of the old stadium sites. We won't try to bluff you with it, but we'll give you the answer when we return.
Your Chevy dealer's big USA 1 year-end sales drive is on. They're out to sell 250,000 cars and trucks by year's end. With so many to sell, it's dealing time. There's another reason to see your Chevy dealer. You can save $255 on a specially equipped S10 pickup or $730 on a tough C10 pickup. And for the first time ever from Chevrolet, take retail delivery now on any of these selected models only and make no monthly payment until March 1st with GMAC financing. See your Chevy dealer now.
This is embarrassing.
No, it's degrading.
No, it's degrading. We got to do it.
Let's go. Who knew?
Don't let this happen to you. Don't buy a business phone system that can't grow, can't change, can't do what you thought it would. Talk to Rome, R-O-L-M.
Hey, buddy, you break up the set?
Rome phone systems are the breakthrough way to get phones, computers, and people talking together now and into the next century.
Yoo-hoo! You have this in early American.
Who knew? Don't put yourself through this. Talk to Rome now.
Saturday, passion turns deadly on a yellow rose. When Jeb Hollister is ambushed and Witt is framed for murder.
My son is no killer.
Saturday.
Terry Bradshaw, and zipping that 10-yard touchdown throw to Calvin Sweeney, came off in pain, and Cliff Stout is warming up again for the Steelers. But Pittsburgh, under the veterans' leadership, leads 14-0. Well, we're going to play a lot of old stadiums. This is the new one, Shea. The old one was the Polo Grounds and Coogan's Bluff here in New York. Preston Brown out across the 31-yard line. Going back to, I'm going to show you several of these during the course of our telecast. There's the old Polo Grounds, the home of the New York Football Giants, and also the first home of the New York Titans, later to be the New York Jets. The Titans played their first 2 seasons before they were purchased and joined Shea Stadium as the home field in 1964. McNeil, and he's bulldogged down by Lauren Taves after just about a 3-yard gain.
This is the kind of game the Steeler defense was hoping to be in today. They have really had to play a game of attrition over the past 4 or 5 games, with offenses grinding and grinding and grinding, not throwing the ball, not giving them a chance to use their pass rush, not giving them a chance to turn the ball over. But now with an early lead, the Jets are forced to go to the air, and they're forced to get it up where it's at risk.
2nd and 7. McNeil. And they closed off the outside. McNeil for only a yard to the 34. Lambert and Taves. The word on Bradshaw is that in throwing that last pass for a touchdown, he was hit in the forearm. Painful at the time, and that must have vibrated all the way up through that elbow. He had surgery, of course, and that was the first problem. And then the tendons leading into the elbow from the upper arm became involved, tendonitis, and that is what has prevented him from rejoining the Steelers till now. He's gone through every kind of therapy he could find. Now he says he's 80% okay.
I told him I noticed that therapy didn't help him grow any hair, though. I said if he finds a way to do that, please give me a call.
Well, Richard Todd with problems with the defense in the call, and so he has used a New York timeout. It comes with 12 minutes, 46 seconds left in the first half.
One computer company has been shaping the way business does business for 99 years, NCR. Today, NCR High Technology puts computer power where business needs it most. From the powerful NCR personal computer, Decision Mate 5, to the awesome power of the 9300, the world's first full 32-bit VLSI mainframe for business. NCR, shaping the way business does business.
Chevy Top is taking charge. Chevy S10 Blazer is out ahead of the imports with InstaTrack, the revolutionary system that lets you shift from freewheeling two-wheel drive to four-wheel drive high and back at any speed. And Chevy S10 Blazer beats Bronco 2 with two-wheel drive they don't offer, a four-cylinder engine they don't have, and mileage they can't touch. Chevy S10 Blazer.
And now, take delivery of any new Blazer and make no monthly payments till March 1st.
From Shea Stadium, today's game is brought to you by Chevrolet, official U.S. cars and trucks of the 14th Olympic Winter Games. Chevrolet and you taking charge. By Southern Pacific, 41,000 people working in 18 industries all across America. And by Kodak Film, Christmas never looks so good. Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, Shea Stadium, 12 minutes and 46 seconds left in the second quarter. The Jets trailing the Steelers 14-0. New York ball, third down and 6 at the Jet 34. Going for the bomb to Walker. And he had beaten Mel Blount, but the pass was out of bounds. And again, an increasing volume from the Bluebirds as Todd leaves the field. And we'll see shortly, Merlin, whether or not Cliff Stout will be the man for Pittsburgh.
I think we'll see Bradshaw back in there, but Stout has buckled on his helmet. He may indeed go into this ballgame.
Chuck Ramsey to punt with Paul Scansey back at the Pittsburgh 22. At the 25. A 9-yard return to the 34-yard line on a 41-yard Ramsey punt. And Cliff Stout, the man who can identify with those boos that Todd just heard, is now the Pittsburgh quarterback. He inherits a 14-0 lead from Bradshaw.
Your Chevy dealer's big USA 1 year-end sales drive is on. They're out to sell 250,000 cars and trucks by year's end. With so many to sell, it's dealing time. And to make it easy to buy now, here's a first-time offer from Chevrolet. Take retail delivery now and make no monthly payments until March 1st with GMAC financing. When you buy a new Chevette or Citation 2 or any new Blazer, pickup, Suburban, or El Camino. See your Chevy dealer now.
After the volunteer fireman's drill, we handed out the beer, but we didn't tell them what kind it was.
It's light and it's smooth, mellow, refreshing, just great. I do want to know what it is.
It's Schaefer, today's Schaefer beer.
Is it Schaefer? Never thought I'd be drinking Schaefer. It's not bad. Not bad at all. I'm going to tell the guys at the firehouse to get Schaefer beer. It's good.
Today's Schaefer is better than ever. Try it in Schaefer Light. They'll make a Schaefer drinker out of you.
It's good beer.
Celebrate the new year. First, the Fiesta Bowl, followed by the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl. Then Heisman Trophy winner Mike Rozier leads top-ranked Nebraska in a game that will decide the national championship. All January 2nd on NBC Sports.
In just a quarter and a minute, Bradshaw, 2 touchdown passes for Pittsburgh. Cliff Stout has replaced him. He had 2 touchdown passes in the last 3 games, all defeats. But he inherits a 14-0 lead and a first down at the Pittsburgh 35. Pollard. Some good running and some not Good tackling by the Jets, and it equals 5 yards for Pollard.
Of course, one of the things the Steelers would like to be able to do now is continue to hammer the ball on the ground, take some pressure off Cliff Stout. They don't want him in a position where he has to throw the football. The last 3 weeks, he has thrown only 41% completions, and under unmerciful pressure from his home crowd, has really had trouble getting the ball to his receivers.
And you suspect even pressure from his teammates. Pollard dragged it out, and it's a face mask. You could see the sudden jerking of the head of Pollard as he snapped down at the 42, and that's going to cost the Jets. Oh no, it's going to be the other way. Apparently it was a jersey tackle and not a face mask. In the meantime, someone else was holding on for Pittsburgh.
Somebody bouncing along behind. Chuck Noll looking out and saying, wait a minute, we don't need to make mistakes here. And what you said about questions
number
from
73, offense, second down.
Craig Wolfley, the culprit. You said questions from the huddle, and you're absolutely right. Some of the Steeler players were questioning Stout's calls. The Steelers, one of the few teams that still have their quarterbacks calling the majority of plays on the field, and there was some head shaking going on in the huddle. A real problem for a quarterback.
Stout's first throw to Pollard hit immediately at the 39-yard line. Bob Crable made the tackle, the former Notre Dame star from Cincinnati's famed Moeller High School. What a great tradition that high school down in the Queen City has.
One of the things you can see quickly here in comparing Stout's throwing motion to that of Terry Bradshaw, and we mentioned quick release early, the fact that Bradshaw has the ability to get that ball off in a hurry. Stout has a long throwing motion. It gives the defenders a little bit of a jump. They can see where he's going with that ball before it's in the air.
3rd and 5, Stout. Incomplete, and a flag is down, intended for Sweeney, well covered. Penalty thrown right at the line of scrimmage, and it appears to be against Pittsburgh.
Kenny Neal waving his arms down there, apparently felt that he was held on that play.
Illegal use of the hand, number 62, offense, hands to the face. Penalty declined, 4th down.
Tunç Ilkin, who was born in Istanbul, Turkey, moved to the United States with his family age 2.
There was Ilkin working on Kenny Neal, the right defensive end. Of course, the penalty refused because they've got to kick it away.
Craig Colquitt kicking well, 42.5-yard average. That one is low. Kirk Springs at the 20. And he's out of bounds at the 31. 11-yard return for Springs, a 41-yard punt. Jets trailing 14-0. Joe Namath. Well, you talk about the 20 years the Jets have been here and the highlights. Well, Namath owns most of them. And in his very first game here at Shea Stadium 20 years ago, Weeb Eubank was the head coach. Here's Namath. No, it isn't Namath. This is the first game, not Namath's first game. And we're going to see that later.
Darrow, isn't it, at quarterback?
No, that was Richard Wood. Going to D. Mackey. Doro was one of the original quarterbacks. You know, we were, as the Jets go out to the 36-yard line, we were trying to find some New York Titan memorabilia to tie this all together. The Titans in 60 and 61, Harry Wismer, the broadcaster, was the owner. Their colors were blue and yellow, so when the new ownership took over, they renamed them the Jets and gave them new colors and all. You can't find anything. I guess all that was left in the transfer was 100 glossies of Harry Wismer. That's about all we could find. 2nd and 4. Appears to be first down yardage to Lamb Jones out at the 42-yard line.
Still enough time to get something done here, and the Jets offense relatively quiet here in the early going.
There's the man, Franco Harris. You had the sense that he really enjoyed the drama of the week, Bradshaw coming back. You know, here's the one great veteran saying he knew what Bradshaw meant, just as he has given it that kind of lift to the Steelers through the years. Freeman, McNeil, and Barber slow getting up, grabbing for that hamstring, the former University of Minnesota star.
Joe Walton a little bit frustrated, I think, that he has had so many injuries, so many running backs in and out of the ball game. Of course, cutting Crutchfield loose earlier. Boy, he is hurting.
Augustiniak at that position.
Augustiniak on injured reserve with a knee problem.
Hector was out. Harper's been out. McNeil was out. That's probably the difference in the season. This is McNeil on a screen, a flag down. And McNeil gets to the 48. Merriweather, Woodruff, and you know on the bottom there. 3 yards if, but it appears to be against the Jets.
Well, they may refuse this penalty, force them into a 3rd down. Of course, the kind of pressure they're getting on Todd, they might indeed want another shot at him. Taking Barber's shoe off. He may have an ankle problem here.
How much, Merlin, the Jets going to Giant Stadium, and you know, there's the emotion.
Number 62, offense, 2nd down.
Pellegrini is guilty of the foul. How much do the Jets feel all of that? Do you think that they're emotionally involved? Is there any romanticism about and going from this to home to a new place?
I think for the Jet players who were here when they were really on a roll, there would be that kind of feeling. Many of these players have some sad memories of Shea, which overpower the good ones.
Well, they may be happy to start in a new place. Johnson at the 20, and he's all the way to the 9-yard line.
That's exactly what Richard Todd mentioned yesterday when he talked about the disappointment of this season. He said the thing that really stuck in his craw was the fact that he had thrown so many interceptions on the year. And here in the early going, he puts his team in dangerous situation by throwing another one. And I don't think he saw Ron Johnson. Johnson just slipping out of the shadows there. I think he was hidden behind Lambert, and he comes down the sideline very close to getting away for a touchdown. Wesley Walker ran him down from behind to save the TD.
And Johnson, his 3rd interception, he was going for a 2nd touchdown. Pollard wrapped up by Gastineau. Well, the man who likes to collect Indian artifacts out in the Arizona desert collects another tackle behind the line of scrimmage.
A bad situation to throw your defense into, but last week in that big win over the Colts, they had 4th and goal twice in the 4th quarter and shut the Colts out. Let's see if they can have some kind of luck here against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
5-yard deficit on that play. 2nd and 15 for the Steelers. 2nd and goal, actually, from the 14. Johnson. He was too small to even get a college scholarship. He went to Eastern Michigan as a high school guard, 170 pounds, and then made it all the way to the pros and was a top draft pick of the Steelers out of Eastern Michigan back in '78. #1 draft pick.
He's had his problems, been moved from corner to safety, been replaced in the lineup because of injuries this year, but that's a sweet moment. Carry one back like that.
3rd and goal.
Stout's got to go for it here. He's tried to run twice, and they've been shut down.
Tried to hit Calvin Sweeney, who drew double coverage. And the Steelers will call upon the talented foot of Gary Anderson. And what a kicker this young man from South Africa, who schooled at Syracuse, is. 24 of 28. Merlin, it's silly to make predictions, but if he stays healthy, I think he will break Tom Dempsey's all-time record field goal of 63 yards. He was kicking them today easily from 58, and last time we saw him at the Silverdome, he was kicking in practice over 60. He's going to be in Denver someday with a pleasant breeze, and he's going to kick 170 yards. I've never been right, but that's just a long-range guess. That one was duck soup. And the Steelers on a 29-yard field goal. Hold on, a penalty flag down.
Let's see what that will do. They're talking to Mike Webster. They say the penalty is against the Jets. That means the 3 points will stand.
Unless it's holding and a first down comes with it.
I believe it's an offside.
Number 73, defense. Penalty is declined.
Flecko was offside.
Score count.
Dick, I think just a sense of the letdown with Stout in as a quarterback. One of the most important responsibilities on the field, converting the extra points, getting the ball snapped back properly, getting a good hold, and getting that ball up on a field goal situation. The punter, Craig Colquitt, doing a good job of getting that one down. Successful conversion on the three-pointer.
They have to do all of that in about, what, a second and a half?
It is quick, believe me, if it's done properly.
Well, the Steelers very quickly have a sizable 17-0 lead halfway through the second quarter.
Over the years, every Mercedes-Benz has expressed the standards of its heritage. Now a new class of Mercedes-Benz does the same. Its lean, trim appearance may surprise you. Its quick, agile performance may astonish you. Introducing the 190 class, the world's most revered automotive standards in an entirely new Mercedes-Benz.
Televideo personal computers equip the professional for success, because Televideo's innovative design produces powerful, sensibly priced computers that communicate with one another and grow as rapidly as you do. Televideo, personal computers that equip you to attain that most coveted objective, a business boom. Televideo personal computers. Get in on the boom.
Hey, gang, it's a night game. Memphis State Tigers are going out to Pauley Pavilion to take on UCLA. Two All-Americans, Keith Lee against Kenny Fields.
Inside the Fields.
Next Saturday night on NBC Sports.
Jets trying to get fullback Marion Barber back in the ball game. Gary Anderson, 29-yard field goal after Ron Johnson's interception to make it 17-0. Spins this one down to Preston Brown at the 9. No fumble. Ball had been whistled dead at the 9-yard line. And Brown very close to coughing up the football to Sam Washington. And the kick return defense for Pittsburgh and Henry Odom were there to make the tackle. He who hesitates draws a crowd.
And what a great weapon that kickoff is, as it stayed high in the air, allowed the coverage team to get down on top of Preston Brown. And Brown has got to explode up into that defense. You see him getting rid of that football, but the official had already blown the whistle. A quick whistle saved the turnover.
Richard Todd deep in his own end to McNeil, and he gains a yard or two to the 11. Right into the teeth of that Steeler defense, and that means Jack Lambert with Cole and Dunn to make the stop. Lambert, number 58, who was a high school quarterback in Mantua, Ohio, was a Cleveland Brown fan. He won't be next week at Cleveland when the Browns are ready. Well, the Browns play Houston. If they win and Pittsburgh wins, then it'll be for the Marbles in Municipal Stadium, and we'll have that for you on NBC a week from tomorrow. Todd. McNeil. 16-yard line. Taves and Lambert with the stop. Lambert, who has been an All-Pro 8 consecutive years, led his team in tackles 9 years. Well, he's going to do it again this year, 10 in a row.
This is his 10th year, and matter of fact, Dick, he's got 144 tackles on the season going into this game. Second leading tackler, Donnie Shell, has 78 total tackles. So you've got a feeling for the kind of dominance. He is, however, one of the few Steeler defensive players that is on the field almost every play, and that does give him an advantage in the statistical areas.
And he's tough against the pass, too, with 28 career interceptions. Todd drilling the ball on a first down. The tight end, Jerome, and Lambert, and Markham. That's the typical battle. The tackler wanting to get his man on the ground, and the receiver, even though the whistle has sounded, proud enough that he's not going to go down.
Barkham has been getting himself open over the past few weeks, not catching too many passes. Here's the battle you talked about. Lambert trying to shake that ball loose and Jerome having no part of it. And I don't think Barkham very happy with the hammerlock that Lambert had on his helmet on that particular play.
I think Lambert has enough wrapping on his arms, forearms.
Those are weapons.
That does harden him up a bit. On first down, Todd to Jones, Lamb Jones. Out to the 35-yard line, close to another first down. Lamb Jones, very quietly. We saw him at mid-year and frankly was not having a good season at all. And something has happened to Lamb because he has been grabbing more than his share and now has over 35 catches.
Well, he credits part of that turnaround to a conversation with equipment man Bill Hampton. Bill told him, he said, hey, you know, you keep going the way you're going, you're going to look back one of these days and wonder how you wasted so much of your career. He said, you can't keep dropping those footballs. You got to go out and spend some more time on the practice field. And he's responded to that.
He's been working after practice with Pat Ryan, the backup quarterback. First down. Screen incomplete. It was a forward pass, and Mel Blunt was right there. He smelled it. Taves was pressuring the quarterback, Todd.
This is a pressure defense, and they were coming on that play. Lauren Taves right on top of Todd, and when Todd turned, even though it's a little screen pass and you want to let people in, you don't want them there so quickly that Todd has no chance to throw. Had to throw the ball before he wanted to. Receiver simply unable to get out and get set before the play. There was a blocker out there. They would have had a play going on that one.
Todd is 10 for 16, but for short yardage, 84 total yards, 1 interception. He trails 17-0. And down he goes, Robin Cole with his 5th sack of the year.
Robin Cole getting a chance to play as a down lineman a little bit today because Keith Gary has an ankle problem, unable to go. Watch how quickly he's on top of Todd here. He's just sweeping in, and Todd has little chance to get away, and Cole just threw him down like a rag doll. Used to call those neck tackles for the quarterbacks. You see how he just threw Robin Cole down?
Robin with a second Steelers sack that gives him 48 for the year. The leader, the Raiders, with 55. The 49ers, 53. Tops in the NFL sack department. Todd needs 18. And he had it to Lamb Jones, who was open, but the pass just a little long. Well, the unkind call from the fans. Well, there's Chuck Noll, his number 1 hero is Bob Greasy. We read this week. He's a big fan of Bob.
Unhappy at criticisms that our fellow commentator Greasy leveled at him last week. Wondered why he didn't get Bradshaw into last week's game. And Noel came back a little personally during the week.
Well, at least he's watching and listening, isn't he? He's a big fan of NBC's, obviously. Ramsey scuffs one, but it takes a jet roll to the 35. So thanks to a kind bounce, Chuck Ramsey comes up with a 38-yard punt. The Steelers have the ball and a 17-point lead with less than 4 minutes left in the half.
It's easy to tell the guy who owns a Black & Decker workmate from the guy who doesn't. The guy who doesn't tends to be determined, resourceful, inventive, a master of improvisation. On the other hand, the guy who owns a Black & Decker workmate is none of these. He's just plain smart. And now, get up to a $10 rebate on any Black & Decker workmate work center. There's never been a smarter time to buy one.
Do you have anything in aviation?
The Army's most technical training
Are there any openings in communications?
is also the Army's most popular training.
I'd really like computers.
So it pays to have a reservation.
Electronics.
If you qualify, you can get a guaranteed reservation for the training you want up to 12 months in advance, even if you're still in high school.
We'll see you after graduation.
That's great.
Thank you. Congratulations.
3:57 left in the half. The Steelers don't want to lose today. They don't want to go to Cleveland next week with everything hanging. They know a win takes the pressure off because a win assures them at least a wild card spot, regardless of what Cleveland does. And the Steelers lead 17-0. 17-0. Ball at the 36. Walter Abercrombie had to give ground to try to get it, and Gastineau with that amazing speed for a big man, and Woodring chased him out of bounds, a -2.
Abercrombie, of course, hurt. Thanksgiving Day game has played little since then. Available today to Cliff Stout, but almost the feeling as Stout has gone into this game that it's back to the same kind of frustration. They have not been effective with him at the helm, and in particular, ineffective and almost diving downhill in the last 3 weeks.
2nd and 12. Abercrombie again. Running tentatively. Nothing much there at the 35. How about Stout's ego in all of this, Merlin? He sits on the bench for all those years. All the jokes were made, many by himself. Finally gets his chance to be a starter all year. And then after a 7-game winning streak, and even then the fans were booing him at Three Rivers, and then the 3 losses, then he's benched, now he's back. What's he feeling?
Hard for him, I'm sure, considering that he has yet to start a full season in the NFL. This is really his first year. He had 1 start going into this season. And he was, in talking to him yesterday, I said, you know, you could be back in that ball game tomorrow. And he said, yeah, you're right. I got to be ready to play. And here he is. He does inherit a 14-point lead, but he's got all the pressure now.
Hawthorne, Greg Hawthorne, and that's his first catch in a long time. He's across the 50 with an 18-yard reception at the Jet 48.
Greg Hawthorne catching a pass from Cliff Stout, and this is what Stout needs. He needs some success, a few opportunities to do things right to get him going again. Catching Stout coming across, puts it right firmly into his hands, and Hawthorne has had some problems hanging on to the football. A couple bouncing off his chest in the last 2 weeks and ending up as interceptions, ending up as touchdowns for the opposing team eventually. That's been one of the problems these Steelers have had.
2.5 minutes left in the half. 17-0 Pittsburgh. Abercrombie, 40, knocked out of bounds at the 37, and that should be another Pittsburgh first down. Abercrombie, the #1 pick of the Steelers a year ago from Baylor. He was the 3rd running back ever taken in the first round by Noel, and of course the first one was a man still playing, Franco Harris.
He's their big play man. He's the guy they want, exploding downfield. A couple of plays, a number of them over 50 yards this year, and certainly one of the few Steelers that's been able to get that offensive explosion for the offense this year.
Stout has a good march underway. Abercrombie, good defensive play by Lance Mel. The Jets feel that this is a Pro Bowler, Mel. 7 interceptions, as we said, more than any linebacker in the NFL this year. In fact, he's tied for the American Conference lead with those 7. A top tackler, the #1 tackler. But Mel's tough to get notice, isn't it?
Well, he's a very quiet player. Doesn't make a lot of noise, and he's not a blitzing linebacker. That hurts him.
Yeah, the 4-3 defense probably does hurt him. And the nostalgia could be goodbye to Shea for the New York Jets. They could play again if they get a wild card, but that is a long shot. Well, there's a former old NFL home site. Do you know the stadium? We'll be back.
It's easy to stay in shape when you have to. If you're not a professional athlete, it's tougher, but just as important. Because even if your career doesn't depend on staying in shape, your health does.
If you're not in the condition you'd like, ask your doctor to suggest a nutrition and exercise program for someone in your age group and physical condition. You might play sports or go to a gym. Just taking brisk walks can be one of the best ways to exercise.
And the rewards are great. You'll work better, sleep better, reduce your chances of heart attack and stroke, and even ease daily stress.
Good nutrition is the other half of the program. The goal is to get the right mix of nutrients for your age, size, and level of activity. For some help in planning a healthful nutrition and exercise program, write the Will Rogers Institute, White Plains, New York. Don't just be an armchair quarterback, get in the game.
Preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. This is Shea Stadium. This is Yankee Stadium. And of course, some great games played there. The New York Giants classic in overtime against the Baltimore Colts. Still called the most unforgettable NFL game ever. No longer the home of the the Giants. They're over in Jersey, and so will the Jets. As John Stallworth out of uniform, they hope he'll be back next week. And Bradshaw probably through for the day. Cliff Stott running the club. 2nd and 10 at the Jets 38. 2 minutes left in the half. Reverse. Hawthorne. 35-30. 20. And a first down at the 18 before Bob Crable could make the tackle. 20 yards for Hawthorne, a running back playing wide receiver, and he had some good blocks in front.
Jets have been getting hammered on the right side over there, and on this particular play they fake it to the right and come all the way back to the left. Kenny Neal has got to be responsible for containment on that side. Lance Mell getting a shot right there at Hawthorne's heels, unable to pick it up.
Pollard, and flags are down as Pollard is dropped. Klecko, most of the Jets defense there. Joe Walton, not much to smile about.
As a matter of fact, if you had written the script from a Steeler standpoint, this game has gone exactly as they would like it to go. They have forced the Jets to throw the football, which plays to their strength. They have been able to run the football, and they've been able to make their passing game successful. The only bad news, Terry Bradshaw wasn't able to survive the first half, but they do have the big 17-point lead.
Back to the 29-yard line. Benny Cunningham with a hold. Well, if we get a chance at halftime, you know, we mentioned that we couldn't find any New York Titan memorabilia. Well, we do. We found something back in one of the Jets offices that will remind us there was a New York Titan team 2 years before they became the Jets. Franco Harris. The pads popping as he goes out of bounds at the 27, and a Pittsburgh Steeler slow getting up as Pollard. He's okay.
We'd mentioned, Dick, we did not get many calls for Lance Mell. One of the reasons, that's one of the few times they've come to his side this afternoon, mostly running to their right at Woodring and Gastineau.
Mell from Penn State, one of the many great linebackers produced under Joe Paterno. Pollard okay, takes himself out. This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the New York Jets and the National Football League is prohibited. On 2nd and long, Stout goes down, and the play whistle dead. He went down under the impact created by Kenny Neal, and now we'll check the flag.
I think we got a holding penalty to go on top of that. No.
Face mask against the Jets, which will decline a great play. Deny the sack.
Well, that really would change things, and you see things as you see Joe Walton and his staff, and absolute discouragement on the far side.
5-yard face mask pass against the defense. Still 2nd down. Not an automatic first down.
So it was not a flagrant foul, so just a 5-yard penalty. 2nd down and about 17 or 18, but they really had him 3rd down and about 25 with the sack. Halftime, NFL 83. Highlights of this game as well as a look ahead to tomorrow. And Pete Axhelm will probably explain why he had the Jets as his favorite today. Stout. And John Woodring, and a rare chance for the Shea faithful to cheer.
One of the things that Stout does pretty well is run the football. Unfortunately, he does it sometimes before he should, wandering out of that pocket under pressure, and Woodring brings him down. Woodring will come from the left side of your screen. Stout barely has time to set up, feels the pressure, begins to roll out. At this point, has lost the concentration on his receivers, ends up with a sack, has them out of field goal range. He needs to get some yardage here.
And the clock continues to run. 40 seconds. Stout, who's a top rusher for a quarterback this year. Oh, does he take a whack? He was trying to stay in bounds, and by keeping the clock running, he absorbed a triple impact. Boy, what a collision, and Stout is okay. He has rushed this year for 421 yards. That's too busy for a quarterback. Time remaining on 4th down. and that'll bring in Kerry Anderson.
Here's the collision. As you see, 56 Mel coming inside. 47 Holmes, the one who attacks him initially. And he put some hurt on those folks himself. That's a big quarterback.
6'4" and 218. Anderson will try a 40-yard field goal. He is hit earlier from 29. Colquitt, not a bad passer nor a runner, is the holder. And Anderson, who has missed only 4 times all year. The kid, 24 years old, is 26 for 30. What a kicker. 20-0. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a first on NBC Sports. 2 Titans, one against another. There's one right here, my man Merlin Olsen, and there's the other, the New York Titans, the blue and gold.
I wonder which one of the Titans this was modeled after. Maybe George Struger, one of my old friends, played out here for a while.
I bet that sold in 1960 for what, maybe $1. It's probably worth, whoops, how much would that be worth?
Better be careful with that. That's the memento that this may be the only one left in the world.
So get it out of my hands. In the meantime, it's going to be a Herculean second half challenge facing the New York Jets, formerly the Titans. Well, hey, I've got a little quiz for you. How about the Pittsburgh Steelers? Were they the Steelers when they first joined the NFL?
I'm sure they weren't, Dick. I know they're one of the oldest teams, celebrated their 50th anniversary last year.
Well, they usually took the nickname of the baseball team in town in those years, and so did Pittsburgh. They were the Pirates for 7 or 8 years before they became the Steelers in 1941. Not much there for Preston Brown with 23 seconds left in the half and trailing 20-0. I don't think whatever Todd does, the fans aren't going to like here. The sensible thing that deep in your own end with so little time probably is just to run out the clock and worry about the second half. That wouldn't please the fans. On the other hand, if you put the ball up for grabs, you might give the Steelers another chance.
I believe the smart thing here is to sit on it and go in and try and get regrouped. Still enough time. 3 touchdowns puts you ahead in this ball game, but you got to get the first one first, and it looks like that opportunity won't come till the second half.
Todd to Lamb Jones. 40 to the 45, and this is a new Lamb Jones. 12 seconds. I don't know why they don't call time. Now they do. 11 seconds. A 30-yard pass and an acrobatic leap by Jones.
Well, apparently Joe Walton felt the situation called for something dramatic. Lamb Jones gave it to him with a leaping catch and does a good job of running with the football. Snared from behind by 51 Lauren Taves, but they need one more good pass to at least get them in field goal range.
Well, that was gold medal sprinter speed out there for the Jets. Jones, who was one of the members of the U.S. gold medal winning sprint relay team in 1976.
I think the Steelers were thinking as we did, that they would just lay on that ball, not ready defensively for that kind of play, and a good pass, and really one of the few passes that Todd has thrown with zip and accuracy in this first half.
So Todd talks it over, comes back into the huddle on a first down at the 45-yard line. Of course, the Steelers now will give him anything under 20. They just don't want a pass inside the 30 that would set up at least a field goal. It's 20-0 Pittsburgh. Durking in the backfield along with Kenny Lewis. That's going to be intercepted by Donnie Shell. Shell looking for blockers, has a few at the 40, 45, 50, and all the way to the 44 at the end of the first half. Donnie Shell's 5th interception, 36 in his outstanding pro career and an all-pro career at Pittsburgh. Richard Todd's interception problems continue in 1983, 2 more today. And at the end of the half, the Pittsburgh Steelers are just 30 minutes from the playoffs. They lead 20-0 in New York.
I just got a sporty truck priced like some base trucks, the Mazda V2000 SE5. Look, it comes standard with a 5-speed overdrive, steel-belted radials and spoker wheels, sporty stripes, a step bumper, even dual sport mirrors. Pretty sporty for just $59.95.
Sakes alive, sakes alive. Only Mazda's got a sporty truck for just $59.95.
This is the place for the real taste of beer. Pabst is the place, there's just no doubt about it.
It's right here in this bottle. You can't find better than Pabst.
Pabst is the place, your good friends all around you for the real taste of beer and all the good times you have here.
The thing is, Pabst doesn't change. It's always good.
For the real taste of beer, Pabst is the place.
After a night below freezing, after 3 hours with the lights on, after all these years, people still have more confidence in Sears Die Hard than any other battery you can buy all over America. At Sears Tire and Auto Centers, when we install a Die Hard, we install confidence.
There's more for your life at Sears.
At the intermission, the Pittsburgh Steelers a win away from the playoffs lead, 20-0. Terry Bradshaw did start, threw 8 passes, completed 5, 2 for touchdowns to get the Steelers off on the right foot. That's the story. First half at Shea. Now to NFL 83.
Thank you, Dick Enberg. Len Berman in New York. Dick mentioned a few minutes ago that during this halftime report, Pete Axtell will mention why he picked the Jets. We'll hear from Ax in a few moments. He wasn't alone. A lot of us thought that here, playing in their last game at Shea, it would be a Jets day. The Jets can only be happy that Bradshaw did not play the entire half, although it might have been 40-0 if it were not for Bradshaw's tendonitis that forced him to sit down after it was 14-0 Pittsburgh. The Steelers 30 minutes away from the playoffs. The Jets 30 minutes away from elimination. Our halftime score, 20-0. Pittsburgh leading the Jets. 2 interceptions for Richard Todd. Todd, a horrendous first half, missing his open receivers. The fans will say thanks for the memories, although today's first half will not be among them. Terry Bradshaw, a heroic story, although when he came in the first quarter, his first pass fell incomplete. It was broken up by defensive back Johnny Lynn for the Jets. But then Bradshaw and company really got rolling. Here's Bradshaw's first completion in 11 months, on target to Benny Cunningham for 24 yards. Now, later in the drive, Bradshaw scrambling, then 17 yards to Greg Garrity, the rookie, the touchdown. Bradshaw's reaction, obviously his first touchdown pass of the year. 7-0 Steelers. Now, early second quarter. Bradshaw again to Calvin Sweeney. 14-0, the return of Bradshaw, and really the way Todd has played in the first half really points up the difference between Bradshaw and Todd. Now here's Bradshaw sitting down, tendonitis, was not able to return. Cliff Stout replaced him. Todd throwing into a crowd, first of 2 interceptions. Ron Johnson picked it off, and the Steelers are in business again, leading at 14-0. On came Gary Anderson. After the interception, Anderson connects from 29 yards away. That made it 17-0. Anderson added another one from 40 yards away. That made it 20-0, and Todd, of course, ended the half with his second interception. That's where we are at halftime, 20-0. Well, as we've mentioned throughout this day, and as we pointed out through the telecast with the old pictures and film, this is probably the last game ever to be played at Shea. Pete Axtell now with some thoughts about Shea and some of the other old ballparks and the players who played in them.
When the Jets announced that they were packing their carpet bags and heading from Shea Stadium to the Jersey Meadowlands, I suggested that no one west of Secaucus had reason to care. After watching the Jets stumble toward today's farewell to Queens, I wonder how many folks east of the Hudson care. But the NFL's departure from another creaking relic of its past is worth noting. Pro football has never been known for overpowering home court advantages of certain intimate basketball arenas, college football snake pits, Russia in wintertime. The clubs with great home records often happen to be merely great, Miami or Dallas. But there was a time when stadia had neither domes nor roofs with holes in them, and the old ballpark seemed to fit the guys down on the turf. Remember when the Bears prowled Wrigley Field with its neighborhood feeling and quaint angulations that reflected the old-fashioned values and ill-fitting uniforms of the team itself? How about those wintry days when the snow swirled in Tiger Stadium and angry men like Alex Karras cursed at the elements and opponents alike like a King Lear on a frozen heat? You can note that such teams weren't really very good, but that's not the point. They were in character, at peace on their respective stages. So were the Jets, huddled in the biting wind beneath the roaring plains from the nearby airport. There were a few pinnacles, a few stars, name it that is best, O.J. Simpson coming in to reach for 2003. In between, there were many disappointments. And when things did go badly, fans had time to notice the creature discomforts of the old place. In that mood, many figure that they won't miss Shea or any other discarded old arena. I figure that they won't forget them either.
Yes, Dick Enberg, I did think that these memories, this momentous occasion, would call up all the character in the New York Jets. Come to think of it, maybe it has. Two things I did today, what our friend Al McGuire would call mortal sins. I underestimated Terry Bradshaw, and I became one of the millions to overestimate these Jets, Len.
What do you look for in the second? I mean, Todd really obviously had the dismal first half, overthrowing and underthrowing his receivers.
Well, we did talk about the technical factor that the Steelers coming off a three-game losing streak, they just had too much character to keep it up that way, and Bradshaw was the spark, so I don't see much hope.
All right, Pete. Well, this playoff spot may be virtually locked up then if Pittsburgh continues and they lead at 20-0 here at halftime. So tomorrow here on NBC in our regional games, we'll have two more playoff spots up for grabs. Here's a preview.
Here are tomorrow's early games as we finish up the next-to-last regular season Sunday on NBC. In the Meadowlands, the AFC's leading rusher is on display. Kurt Warner and company are alive in the wild card chase. They'll challenge a disgruntled yet devastating Giant defense. And in Houston, the Browns hope to bounce back from their Denver disappointment. Brian Sipe will lead a Cleveland team that appears playoff-bound. For Houston, only pride's at stake, but Earl Campbell has been a force in several near misses this year for the Oilers. Then in the late games, remember the signs that greeted John Elway in Baltimore? Well, Denver fans plan to bring out their signs to welcome the Colts to Denver. But the most important sign for the Bronx, the emergence of John Elway's rifle arm last week as the Broncos fight for the playoffs. Meanwhile, in Anaheim, you'll see the NFL's leading rusher as Eric Dickerson leads the first-place Rams against the playoff hopeful Patriots. And in San Diego, the Chargers will be hosting the Chiefs. All tomorrow here on NBC.
And, of course, we'll start it off before the game with NFL 83. One of our regular cast of characters out at Shea, Ahmad Rashad. Let's go to him now live for his thoughts on the first half of action. Ahmad?
Well, I'm out here at Shea Stadium, and I'm dodging tennis balls from the fans out here. You know, Axiom said earlier in the day that he thought that seeing that this was the last game that they would be playing here at Shea Stadium, it would play a factor in the Jets being up for this game. I talked to Robin Cole before the game, and he said he didn't care if they played downtown New York. It didn't matter to them. They wanted to win this game and go on to the playoffs. I think you could see with Terry Bradshaw back in the helm, the defense had to really pay attention to him, which opened up the running game for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's something that they haven't had to do all year long. Bradshaw was back. He had a lot of touch. He hurt his arm throwing the second touchdown pass, but with Bradshaw back in the game, the Steelers are a much different football team.
Ahmad, are the fans throwing the tennis balls because they're a little restless about what's happened in the first half? What's going on?
I'm sure that's the problem, because they came in here thinking that the last game at Shea, they'd like to see the Jets have a good game and stay in contention for the playoffs, but for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have different ideas on this game altogether.
Okay, thanks, Ahmad. We'll be checking back with you during our post-game report. We will have post-game interviews and the complete post-game wrap-up of this game right here on NFL 83. I hope you'll stay with us. Our halftime score, the Steelers leading the Jets 20-0 at halftime. And we'll have second-half action going back to Shea with Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen right after these words from your local station.
Saturday, Arnold goes berserk when his best friend pulls a double cross.
You stole my woman!
And Rick's a wild teen on Silver Spoons.
From here on out, we're living fast.
Then it's Manimal Revenge, when Jonathan takes on a gang of karate killers to save his friends. Saturday. Be there.
I use AllNet, an ingenious long-distance company that costs even less than MCI or Sprint. Hello? Saved a cent right there. John Duggleby here. Saved another cent. With my full name, Jonathan Charles Duggleby III, I would have saved 3 cents. Is Mr. Thompson there? I'm holding.
Are they playing that pretty music, sir?
Sounds better when you're saving money with AllNet.
Call AllNet, 800-621-1057. Long distance for less.
Gordon, I just saved 21 cents with AllNet.
I know. Easy for typing that report. Again.
Miss Smith, please type in 1 and see if you change, please.
No matter what type of boss you have, with a Panasonic 708 electronic typewriter, you won't have to retype. Its 8K memory stores what you've typed. Type in the corrections, and it does the retyping for you. So when your boss requests the word...
Where's that letter?
Thank you. It's time for a Panasonic.
Available at Harry Strauss & Sons in New Jersey.
Here's good news about Exxon gasoline. Now you have a choice of how you buy it. If you pay cash at participating Exxon stations, you'll get a discount because cash transactions are less costly. But if you prefer the convenience of buying on credit, your Exxon credit card is welcome as always. Either way, the quality of the gasoline is the same. Exxon, quality you can count on.
Andy Williams and Joan Hamburg, Monday, live at 5.
Welcome back to Shea Stadium, where the Steelers lead 20-0 at halftime. It's interesting, the home field hasn't really borne up for these two clubs. The Jets are 2-5 coming into this one. The Steelers lost more this year at Three Rivers than they've ever lost, 4-4.
Well, I think part of that problem, inconsistency brings out the mean side of a crowd, and you lose that part of that edge, which is the noise and the enthusiasm of your home crowd.
Yeah, you can remember that well, your days at the Coliseum.
I remember a few of those, I sure do.
All right, you said at the start of the game, we're talking about Terry Bradshaw, and that was the story, and yet you said the story of the game wasn't necessarily just Bradshaw, it was the running game.
Well, Bradshaw himself talked about the importance of the running game as being key to his success. And 126 yards rushing by the Steelers in the first half established the fact that they could run the football. They could control the football. That really allowed Bradshaw to go 5 for 8 to pick up his 2 touchdowns passing. You look at the other side of the line of scrimmage. The Jets, who had run so efficiently and effectively in the past 3 ball games behind McNeil, have only 20 yards rushing in the first half. And what does that make them do? They've got to go up and throw the football. They then fall in line for some turnovers. Todd gets the interceptions, and the Steelers get even further ahead.
Well, they got to throw right into one of Pittsburgh's strengths, certainly. And the story of Bradshaw is a remarkable one. Here's the guy, it's almost like someone wrote the script, out all year, maybe wouldn't come back. Maybe, though, that's all we'll see from him. We don't know how serious that arm injury is, and one would suspect, under the conditions, that that forearm blow might mean that we've seen Bradshaw all we will see him all year long.
They say bruised forearm and elbow. They will not know until they get him back to Pittsburgh whether he's going to be able to play next week.
So the pressure still is on Cliff Stout as the Steelers, if they win today, look ahead to the playoffs. Both teams coming back on the field. We'll be back at Shea Stadium after these messages from your local station.
Kodak presents 4 new 35mm color print films for detailed color, for versatility, for action, for low light, for all your holiday memories. New Kodacolor VR 100, 200, 400, and 1,000 speed films. And now, Kodak lets you get better color disc pictures than ever before with new Kodacolor VR disc film.
Christmas never looks so good.
When you run a small business, problems can leave you groping in the dark.
You couldn't sleep either, huh?
Unless you have a reliable guide like the Texas Instruments Professional Computer. Its easy-to-use keyboard, sharp, clear graphics, and hundreds of software programs will give you fast, reliable solutions today and tomorrow.
Mike, I've got it.
The Texas Instruments Professional Computer for reliable solutions today and tomorrow.
With all these points, the record's mine, that's clear. Let's buy our man a nice cold beer. Bull! Bull! You get a big bone blue when the bull is here. The Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull will give you more taste than beer. So don't say beer, just say bull. The Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull. Hey, the bull really scores! No one doesn't like the bull.
Saturday, passion turns deadly on a yellow rose. When Jeb Hollister is ambushed and Whit is framed for murder.
My son is no killer.
Saturday.
So, Jerry, you're going to buy a video recorder, huh?
Yep. Jerry, trust me. You want the one with the high writing
No. Believe me, Jerry, you need convenient front loading.
Hey, my friend, programmability.
What are you talking about?
Spell it. No matter what you hear, one name is the standard against which all video cassette recorders are compared.
Guys, I want the Sony. I was going to say Sony. Me too.
Betamax, the Sony of VCRs.
The Christmas Raccoons, a holiday special tonight at 7:30.
Now there's a shot that has bad and good news in it. The bad news, of course, the big wrap around the right elbow of Terry Bradshaw through for the day. The good news for Pittsburgh is, unlike the entire rest of this season, Bradshaw now can be the counselor to the younger Stout. They've not had that to this point.
They certainly haven't, Dick. And I talked to Terry Bradshaw about that. Let's talk about Terry's well-being, though. How does he feel about his physical condition at this point? I think he knew he was going to have troubles today.
Well, he said he wasn't 100%.
My physical condition overall is very good. My arm condition, I would say, is in the range of 75 to 85, right along in there. The strength, of course, is there for a while. I can't just get out there and throw 50, 60 hard passes, but I can throw 60 yards and not have too much discomfort.
Well, he threw 8 passes in the first half, completed 5, 2 for touchdowns, 1 17 yards to Garrity, the other 10 yards to Sweeney.
And it was that hard throw, that rifle shot, that really sent him off the field, although he bruised that elbow and arm.
Second half underway, and the Steelers will get the ball first. Down to Henry Odom, 15. And a good tackle at the 18-yard line.
Rocky Cleaver, number 30. Coming from behind, doing a good job, and this is what the Jets need here, a fast start. They certainly didn't have that in the first half. We talked about the rushing yardage there. You see it very clearly illustrated, 126 to 20, and of course the turnovers, 2 to 0. Pretty average on the time of possession, well split between the two teams.
Freeman McNeil had only 19 yards rushing in 10 carries for the Jets. So leading 20 to nothing, the Jets need a turnover. They need something to spark them. To Pollard. He has sparked the running game of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pollard was the leading rusher in the game in the first half and now has 54 yards in the contest.
The Steelers coming out in this second half aren't going to change their format. It's been very successful for them in the first half. They will try and establish the running game. They will try and control the football, try and control the clock. The Jets have to break them out of that.
Now Dracula and Cleats. Jack Lambert waiting his turn. A tackle, but there are more Jets to come. Gastineau and Neal. And a 7-yard loss.
Gastineau getting the first shot on Pollard, actually knocked him deep, did not make the tackle. Neal coming from behind, able to get the telling tackle, but Gastineau, by forcing the play deep, actually made that play. And the Steelers have found some running room around that left side of the Jets defense. Woodring out there, not used to playing so much in that position, and now the Jets able to go to their nickel package.
Third down and long. And Stout is down at the 14. Lyons and Neal with a sack. The third for the sack exchange today to give them 44 on the year. But Stout and Dudley told by Noel, don't take a chance and throw a mistake, leading 20-0.
In the last 2 weeks, the Steelers have turned the ball over 10 times. It's been as much as anything a nemesis for this Steeler team. They simply could not hang on to the football. Stout does not want to make that kind of mistake here. You're right, Dick.
Colquitt will kick from around his 5-yard line.
They may come and try and block this one.
Springs at the Jet 45. Deep, all the way to the Jet 38. Springs, excellent return man. 45, and almost to midfield. Good effort by Springs, open field running. That's why he leads the NFL in punt returns.
A fine 14-yard punt return by Springs after a 51-yard punt, and the Jets finally have some field position to work with.
This is their best of the day, and Richard Todd It could ignite this noisy New York crowd if they could score first. That's what happened the last time. They never had the ball more than 7 times on a possession. And the longest drive was 30 yards, and that was at the end of the half. One big play to Jones. Freeman McNeil. Oh, they're waiting for him. A yard gain as the Steelers are really keyed on McNeil. They've taken that weapon away from the Jets.
And of course, the Jets feeling as they came into this game that they would be able to continue on a roll behind McNeil. Steelers, as you say, have taken it away from them, and it has hurt their offense, has hurt their offensive plan, puts all the pressure on Todd in the passing game, and that's just not working.
There's the difference. The Steelers considerably more effective on the ground. 2nd and 9. Near the 45-yard line. They're keeping McNeil busy. Taves and Gary made the tackle. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Running in an apparent passing situation to try and cross up the Steeler defense. Steelers have played well on the road this year. You see the stats there. Of course, interesting. They talk about home field disadvantage. We did a San Francisco game early this year, and that was the call there.
That's another team. San Francisco, the Jets, and Pittsburgh all having trouble winning at home. McNeil, and that was a fine individual effort to get the first down. Woodruff was the Steeler defender.
Finally getting the ball moving a little bit on the ground, and as I'd mentioned earlier, Dick, a lot of time left in this football game.
Well, Leon Hess.
He's going to take his knocks from this crowd today. They got a little hostile here at halftime. I'm not so sure that I'd want to waltz down on that field after this game is over unless fortunes turn for the Jets in this second half.
Well, when we leave, will you promise me one thing? You stay close? That's the first rushing first down for the Jets today, and they stay on the ground. And it's McNeil, 4 consecutive carries. Lambert and Taves with a tackle. Let's look ahead to our lineup tomorrow here on NBC. We hope you'll join us for NFL 83 at 12:30. Seattle and the New York Giants at Giants Stadium, also to be the home of the Jets. Cleveland at Houston. The Browns looking for a win to set up their match with Pittsburgh a week from tomorrow. New England against the Rams out in Los Angeles. A most important game for the Rams. New England still with some faint hopes. You saw the rest of the schedule. Baltimore at Denver. Well, we had a big game last week. Kansas City at San Diego. Lamb Jones, but the Steelers fly swatted right out of the hands of Todd. Here to be Robin Cole. Perhaps it was Beasley, 65 from Virginia Tech. I love the hometown of Beasley, Prosperity, Pennsylvania.
There's an all-out blitz. Cole coming, Taves coming. Lauren Taves, 51, the man that goes up and just fly swats that ball down. Does a good job of getting it. He's had some big plays today. Taves not getting as much playing time because he is not terribly strong against the run, but doing a good job there.
3rd down, 6. Jets trail 20-0 early in the 3rd. Oh my! Dwayne Woodruff on a corner blitz. And did he hit Todd? And Todd's slow getting up. And he's limping off. And that's sad. Some of the fans started to cheer as he limped off.
An unusual call. This is a gambling defensive team, and with that big lead, they open it up. Coming all the way from his corner position, Woodruff, and that was not expected. They just did not have enough people to block him. You see Todd grab the knee as he goes to the ground. Hard shot from Woodruff.
3rd sack for the Steelers as they approach the 50 mark. Scansey deep in Steeler territory. The Jets apparently denied again. Almost blocked by Merriweather. Bearcat Scansey at the 16, and a flag is down at the line of scrimmage.
I think we may have had someone leaving a little too soon.
Yes, one of the Jets downfield prematurely. 39-yard punt.
Ineligible downfield, number 48 on the kicking team. Penalties decline.
Ken Troy.
First down.
So the Steelers have it with a 20-point lead, 10.5 minutes remaining, and in the bullpen for the Jets, Pat Ryan of Tennessee tuning up. 10:29 left in the 3rd quarter.
innovation on the American road, an automotive revolution led by Dodge. The latest evidence, Dodge Daytona Turbo Z. Backed by standard 550 protection, turbocharged, fuel-injected, front-wheel drive. The fantastically balanced, performance-bred Dodge Daytona Turbo Z.
Someday soon, you could very well have the best of everything. But you will have to begin somewhere. And the best place to begin is with the very best beer in the world. The best tasting beer wherever you go. When you think about it, why would you ever have anything else?
Come to think of it, I'll have a Heineken.
With Richard Todd not having a good day and limping off the field after that last sack, Pat Ryan, who has thrown the ball only 22 times this year, 68 in his career, so he just has not seen much duty. He may be in on the next possession.
We saw him in some action against Miami earlier here this year. I think his only action of the year, as a matter of fact.
Steelers leading 20-0, and this is Pollard. And Woodring has him at the 15. Whoops. Right over one of our cameras, and now a little extra push and shove. Pollard getting entangled in all the microphone wires. He didn't like what Crable did, and Gastineau said, that's all right, just a game, Frank.
One of the responsibilities of the second back in the backfield is to block. One of the reasons the play is not successful, Franco gets ahead in there, but that's all, and Woodring has no trouble getting by him, flipping him out of bounds, and I think Pollard caused his own problem, kept a hold of Woodring, pulled him down. He ended up on Pollard's legs, and that's what made him mad.
2nd and 11. Stout. Oh, is that a catch or not? I guess it is a catch. They did not say incomplete. It appeared he trapped the ball, and they're going to allow it a catch unless they debate it and change their mind. There was certainly no signal that it was not a good catch.
Ours is not a good angle, but it looked like a catch from here to me, and that's the kind of pass that Stout has been throwing. He kind of pulls the ball down, and look how low and behind the receiver that pass is. He has to go back and get it.
No catch. That ball hit the ground.
Would certainly appear that way from that call, and they are going to carry it back. Stout saying, hey, come on, that's a successful throw, but that was not a good pass. And that last week in their loss, the Steelers have receivers open, had good protection for Stout. Many of his passes, and I think because of apprehension, because of the negative vibes that he was feeling from the crowd and his own negative self-concept, he was not doing a good job of hitting those open receivers. You saw it again on that play.
Interesting call, though, throwing from deep in their own end. 9:44 left in the third quarter. 3rd down, close to 12. Flag down. Intercepted by the Jets. Johnny Lynn, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. A flag is down, and there are 2 flags down. One at the line of scrimmage at the start of the play, and one for what I believe was a clip helping Ray into the end zone. Now they'll untangle it. Boy, did Stout hang that one up for it. Both Jets could have caught it.
And the very thing we talked about, Stout not wanting to do, and the kind of problems he's had the past few weeks. Ball literally up for grabs. Not a well-thrown pass, thrown right into a man who was double covered. And of course the Jets come up with a big turnover. Let's see what the officials are going to do as they untangle this mess down there. Gastineau wants to help make the call down there.
Motion offense will be declined. Illegal block above the waist on the return will be enforced. The defense will keep the ball.
Now that's a good rule. Remember in the old days on that kind of play, those would have been nullifying penalties and the Jets still would keep the ball. Now once you get possession on an interception or a kick, and you can't negate the 2 penalties, you just decline one, and now on the clip the Jets will have to, or the holding call will have to come back 10 yards.
Chance to watch from high on the rim of the stadium as you see how well covered the receiver was. Calvin Sweeney, 2 men right on top of him, Schroy and Johnny Lynn, And it's Lynn who does a masterful job of getting down the sideline for an apparent touchdown, only to be marched back. It is Jets football. I believe their deepest penetration of the day as they start this drive. Let's see if they can do something with it with a new quarterback at the helm.
Pat Ryan, University of Tennessee, in his 6th year, much like Stout, has seen very little duty as the backup to Todd. Comes out throwing. Complete. No, intercepted. Mel Blunt. And Blunt, the veteran, on the ricochet right through the hands of Walker, has his 4th interception this year. And for Blunt, it's his 57th in his great career. But that was a gimme right through the hands of Walker.
That will show as an interception for Pat Ryan. It should have been a completion. He can't do his job any better than that. Obviously, Wesley Walker did not do his job on that play.
There's Walker open in his hands, anticipating the hit. Bounced it right to Blunt. Pittsburgh has it again at the Steeler 37. Timeout. 9:24 left. A great chance for the Jets is lost.
You are looking at live music as seen through a computer. The computer can freeze an instant of the music and mark it. Now, a Memorex High Bias 2 recording of the same music. Compare Memorex to live. You will not hear truer reproduction on any high bias cassette, or we'll replace it free. Is it live, or is it Memorex?
Remember, Memorex makes a great gift. Play after play.
Before Dodge Aries K, there was no way to get the benefits of front-wheel drive in an American wagon. Standard 550 protection, room for 6, and a solid resale record. A whole lot of what you buy a wagon for. Which explains why our Aries family has joined over 300,000 American families.
We are Dodge and American Revolution.
The danger of 4-men bobsleds racing on a sheet of ice.
The beauty and grace of skydiving from Hawaii.
And the shenanigans, fun, and basketball wizardry of Meadowlark Lemon and the Buccaneers on a special NBC Sports World.
Christmas Day.
Down 20-0, and Richard Todd apparently out for the game with a thigh bruise, now heavily wrapped. Pat Ryan with some tough luck. Boy, that's the way the Jet season has gone. They had a touchdown, but for the foul on the push from the behind the back, so that cost them the 7. Then on the first play, a good pass bounces through the hands of the receiver for an interception to the Steelers. 2 mistakes, 2 plays. Pittsburgh's back off with the ball better off than they were when they gave it up the first time. And it's Franco up the middle for about 5. Gastineau made the tackle. Mark Gastineau, and talking yesterday about his granddad, and you talk about a remarkable family tree. His grandfather, Booger Red, is 75 years old and still active on the rodeo circuit as a roper. 75. And he ropes up Harris here. And Gastineau's dad is also, he said, when they pros tried me out in college, my dad was 47 and he ran a 5 flat 40 in his street shoes. I don't think that's an exaggeration. At least I wasn't going to argue with him.
Little change of attitude on the part of the Steelers, who threw and got themselves in trouble on that last series. They've gone right back to the ground game. They've gone to the hammer. Frank Pollard. Pollard getting close to a first down. It'll be 3rd and short.
3rd and about 2 at the 45. Well, Cliff Stout apparently is going to be the man in charge, Merlin, and I'm sure Steeler fans are wondering, a lot of them are not fans of Stout, unfortunately for him. Can he really do the job for them in the playoffs?
That's a tough question. You can't bet on him the way he's played in the last few games, the way he's played today even.
Harris has the first down as the veteran gets 5 to the 50. And for Franco, he's closing on the 900-yard mark for the year. It's going to be tough for him to get the 1,000. He's got the Browns defense waiting for him next Sunday. 39 today puts him at 887. Shell and Bradshaw and Stallworth. There are 3 men who have 4 Super Bowl rings apiece. 4 out of 4.
Well, with Bradshaw back, there are 9 members of this team who've gone all the way with the Steelers to 4 Super Bowls.
First down, and Stout will throw to Hawthorne. A little mix up there. Hawthorne gave it a little turn, and Stout is down as Gastineau was applying the heat. He's okay.
I don't think his head is all right. Look at him shake it. Boy, he took a shot right under the jaw. Gastineau all the way, gets inside, gets away right there. Benny Cunningham trying to get him, but look at the shot just as the ball is thrown, and watch Stout's feet flip back over his head. Mark was worried about him. Didn't do a dance, didn't stand over him. I think concerned about his health.
Right into the sternum.
You'll feel that one for about 4 or 5 days after a game like this.
That'll make those 12 ribs on each side play like a xylophone. Pollard playing with the Jets defense is all the way to the 22-yard line before Woodring can chase him out of bounds. And Frank Pollard is the running star in this game. You talk about Franco Harris and Freeman McNeil, the headliners, but it's been Pollard's day.
Good job inside. Webster, Borres doing a good job along with Wolfley right in the middle. Pollard doesn't need much help. Boy, he gets out and rambles.
So Frank Pollard in his 4th year from Baylor. And Pollard now with that run has a total of 77 yards today.
Looked like perhaps a hand injury to Bob Crable going off with Bob Reese, the trainer there, taking him to the sideline. And Stan Blinken will probably step in to replace him.
54 Blinka is in the game. Pollard comes out as a wing right. Stout has them in a passing formation with Harris the only running back. A first down at the Jets 21. Stout to run. And run well. To the 8-yard line. Lance Mell and Ken Schroy collaborated. 13 yards for Stout, who is on his way to a 500-yard rushing season. Maybe they got him at the wrong position.
Did not spend much time looking for receivers downfield. Goes back, feels the pressure coming in. Look how quickly he pulls that football down. Saw the opening. Good decision on his part, although I think the better choice would have been to go out of bounds at one point rather than to take a shot like that from Mel.
Franco Harris once again threw a good block downfield. First and goal. Franco to about the 4 and a flag down. Chuck Knoll, 51-year-old head man for the Steelers, sees the bad news. 10-yard holding call.
One very positive note for the Steelers, the play of this offensive line. They finally got the group back together that was scheduled to start at the beginning of the year.
Holding, right guard, offense, first down.
Craig Wolfley is the right guard, whether that was the man or not. Mike Webster, 52. Oh, what was that? Middle of the year, he had the flu, was in the hospital all week, got out Sunday morning and said, I'm not getting out of the hospital to sit on the bench, put me in, played the whole game.
Chuck Knoll said, just want you to be here. You don't have to play. He said, I didn't get out of the hospital to sit. I want to play. He hasn't missed a game in 10 years. That's remarkable stat.
There's another man with 4 Super Bowl rings. 6.5 minutes remaining. Franco. Ducking out of bounds. Kenny Neal, the closest Jet, at the 13. Well, you played here at Shea Stadium. Did the Rams like this field?
Well, I like playing on regular turf, and I always enjoyed coming to New York, and we played pretty well against the Jets. Yes, I didn't mind coming and playing here. I think I remember stadiums as much for how well we performed there as for the stadium itself, Dick.
And when they thank the Jets for the memories, the one name that's way above everyone else, the man who really brought the big thrill to this city, Joe Namath. To Cunningham, touchdown! Benny Cunningham on a strike from Stout, 13 yards, and that makes the Jets' dream really an impossible one.
And that's a very important play for the Steelers, to have Cliff Stout connect on a touchdown like that. Good for his ego, and you see the reinforcement from Terry Bradshaw right there. Interesting, he's shaking hands with that left hand. That elbow all iced up, but a nice throw, good catch. Darrell Ray, number 28, trying to get over in time to knock that ball away, not able to do it.
63 yards in 8 plays after the interception. Anderson kicks the extra point. Terry Bradshaw has become a fan after he got the Steelers off to a 14-0 start. That'll even interrupt a chew.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, that's going to help the Steelers. I think that's going to really give them a boost having him on the sidelines. 27-0, 6:20 left, third quarter.
The who?
The tax people.
Oh, today. Oh, all right. Call the accountant.
Running your own business, you've got to give it your best. And that means personal computers from Digital. For extensive business software, graphics, communications, plus a revolutionary customer support plan. Not even the world's largest computer company gives you so much.
Oh, hi. We've been waiting for you.
But the second largest does. Digital Equipment Corporation.
This Bud's for everyone who keeps things rolling on the mighty Mississippi.
Breakaway barge, please respond.
Let's get him.
We're right below here and we're on our way out.
I'll come around on the port side and bumper there.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do, this Bud's for you.
It's not just the score that catches your eye. 27-0 Pittsburgh. Look how much timeout is left for the NJ Jets, New Jersey Jets. Even the scorekeeper has said goodbye. Shea Stadium. Beautiful football day, and it's been absolutely perfect for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Preston Brown to the 25. David Little made the tackle for Pittsburgh. Greg Best came up with the football after the whistle. 63 yards as Stout directs the Steelers to the touchdown and completes it with a 13-yard TD throw to Benny Cunningham. 27-0. Boy, that does seem strange. They're still called the New York Giants, and they'll be the New York Jets, but they both play in New Jersey.
Explosive play of the day for the Jets offense. It comes from the sprinter, Lamb Jones. Another excellent catch and a good throw from Pat Ryan as he gets downfield, gets a lot of extra yardage after the first hit. Good play.
It was a good run. Here it is from on top. Perfect strike by Ryan at the 39 at Pittsburgh. First down at the 27. Lambert made the tackle. Boy, he had to thread that one through a lot of arms, and a good gun by Ryan.
Ryan with some power on this throw. Schuler is between two defenders, and if that ball is not thrown crisply, it's an interception. Right there, Lambert finally getting back to make the tackle, but that ball went by him before he even saw it.
Good camera work there. You could see those two white jerseys. There was a couple of yards, and that's all. But Ryan gets 12 yards to his tight end, and a first down with 4:50 left in the third quarter. 27-0 Pittsburgh. Ryan pumping, throwing long, Jones, touchdown!
Jets fans finally getting a chance to do a little cheering. A long arm fake freezes the defender right there, but it's the speed of Jones going behind Woodruff, number 49, that made the play work.
A number one, the lyric sung by Frank Sinatra, and that play would deserve that grade. Lamb Jones. Pat Leahy's extra point is good, and it's 27-7. So Pat Ryan got the touchdown in a hurry, and Lamb Jones has 126 yards on 6 catches today.
And the Jets fans say, hey, it's about time. You saw the long arm fake there, just enough to freeze the defender momentarily. Drop it in right over his head. Fine play.
They probably liked that one even in New Jersey. 75 yards and 3 plays.
American car buyers have challenged every one of us who make cars. Prove to me you've got the quality I demand, or I'm going elsewhere. That's some challenge. Chrysler Technology created this plant to meet that challenge. Computers cut the margin of error in body fits to a millimeter. That's close to perfection. 13 laser cameras position the doors, and they fit tight. There's 1,000 pounds of galvanized steel in these bodies to help prevent rust. And we give them a 4-coat finish in a dust-free chamber. Result, the quality you demand. Dodge Caravan, Plymouth Voyager. They're the most versatile wagons ever built in America. There's nothing like them. And Chrysler backs them with a 5-year, 50,000-mile protection plan. Chrysler Technology can give you the quality you demand. So can some of the others. But in the long run, if you buy theirs, you take the risk. If you buy ours, we do.
You say they're not fickle, the sports fans in New York?
One TD, they're back.
Understand owner Leon Hess is now operating the scoreboard. That's probably a false rumor. 27-7, 4.5 minutes left in the third quarter. Uh-oh. Tim Harris, and he's down at the 6-yard line. Yeah, the Jets, Kirk Springs, who made the tackle, trying to fire up his teammates in Pittsburgh in a hole at the 6. Make it the 5. They spot the ball.
Still a lot of time left in this ball game. We indicated that turnovers had been a problem for these Steelers, 10 of them in 2 weeks. They've been good about not turning the ball over today, except for the interception by Stout. But right here, they put themselves in the hole. Jets defense has an opportunity to cause some problem again.
Took the Jets only a minute 41 seconds to score. This is from our camera, that little end zone camera up on the goalpost. To the 8-yard line. Dumped by Ken Schroy, strong safety from Maryland. There's Schroy, who was a college teammate of Randy White. We've told the story before. As freshmen, they were both offensive backs and then changed the defense as sophomores. Did pretty well there. Want the ball. They trail 27-7. Probably the last game ever at Shea for the Jets. Franco for 2. Vrabel back in the game. He's all right, makes the hit. Nothing easy. Chuck Noll will send in the kid Garrity, the rookie from Penn State, who had a touchdown to open the game. That was from Bradshaw. Nope, now he changes his mind. Sends in Pollard and Garrity.
Noll has been calling more and more plays for Cliff Stout. Stout able to call many of his own plays early, and they felt that taking some of that responsibility off his shoulders might help his performance.
Draw play. It's going to be close. Crable hits Pollard. It appears shy by about a foot. Darrell Ray trying to get the offense going.
Well, they'll try and get in and get a block on this punt, I believe. Larry Pasquale, the special teams coach, got his troops out on the field. Let's see if they don't come with all 10 and try and get in. Colquitt has never had a punt blocked. They came close earlier in the game, and he did hurt his leg a little bit on that play. He might be slowed down a little bit by that.
Two-step kicker, and that accounts in part for his success in no blocks. Springs back all alone, a 10-man rush. Short. And not that short. Springs at the 40. 45. And spun down. Good defense. Little, that's his third solo tackle on special teams. 46-yard kick by Colquitt. That one really carried. 7-yard return. Jets have the ball with 2:10 left in the third quarter.
You know, this Christmas, give your family a gift that keeps on giving. an RCA video disc player, and video discs. The RCA video disc player gives everyone in your family the gift of great entertainment. More than 1,000 great shows to watch all year long, all on one of the simplest, most inexpensive video systems you can buy. And you know what? If you buy a player for Christmas, RCA will give you a $50 Christmas bonus. $50 back on the gift that gives over and over and over.
When the curtain goes up in a lot of places in Atlantic City, it may seem to be the same old song and dance. Go get 'em, girls.
It's not that way at the Sands as top 20 man Buddy Hackett teams with his son Sandy Hackett December 26th through the 29th and January 1st. When it comes to entertaining you, we don't play games.
Sunday, there's explosive action when a murder attempt leaves Michael with amnesia.
Michael, have you really forgotten me?
Can Kit save him when the killer strikes again on Knight Rider, Sunday?
Defensive tackle of the Jets, one of the many stars, and they do love their heroes here in the city. That man, just his arms alone would qualify.
He wants to go out, back out, and play defensive end. He said, too many people hammering on my legs here in the middle of the line.
From the 47-yard line, Ryan needed less than 2 minutes to drive the Jets to their first score, and he used Lamb Jones. This time it's Freeman McNeil. Well, not much running room for McNeil, Lambert, and Woodruff at the Pittsburgh 49. Gain of about 4.
Dick, we haven't talked a lot about it today, but they sure do miss Joe Fields in the middle of that offensive line. He's the general. They call him that on the field. He's the man that calls all the offensive signals for the line. One of the finest technicians in the game of football. And certainly when he's not in there, you've got to scramble. You've got to move a guard inside. Bingham's normally a guard. And you have to put Joe Pellegrini in there. It's hurt their performance on the ground today.
McNeil able to cover his own fumble, or at least muffle the toss at the original line of scrimmage back at the 46 of the Jets, so it'll be 3rd and 10.
And it's so difficult when you're this far down. The defense can just lay back. They can take all the risks in the world. If you get a touchdown on them, so what? They've still got a big lead. And playing with that kind of aggressiveness, when you have the kind of defensive talent that the Steelers have and the kind of eager young players they have, can really put you in the hole.
Trailing 27-7, last minute, 3rd quarter. Durking, no handle at the 50. He was short of the first down anyway. The Jets will have to punt it right back. Well, at this stage, Merlin, you have to think fake on every possible kick by the Jets, punt or field goal.
Certainly do. And there's a man who will feel that this second half is perhaps an eternity as he waits for this one to finish. It's been a painful season for the Jets. You're right, Dick, about, well, of course, the Steelers, well aware of the potential for a fake, are not going to be very aggressive in the way they cover Chuck Ramsey here.
Well, he's going to punt it. Nice spiral. Scansey, the 10, the 15, 18. And with 36 seconds, now 35 on the clock, Pittsburgh's Cliff Stout takes over with a 27-7 lead, 44-yard punt, 9-yard run. You say you'd like bowl action? Well, we'll give it to you in quite a feast on January 2nd. Of course, the first falling on a Sunday, so the bowl day is on Monday the 2nd. Fiesta Bowl at 1:30, Pittsburgh and Ohio State. Then Merlin and I will be at the Granddaddy as Illinois takes on UCLA, the defending champion, in the Rose Bowl. And then for the national championship, #1 ranked Nebraska, led by Heisman Trophy winner Mike Rozier, against #4 Miami with that great defense. The championship at stake in the Orange Bowl, all here on NBC. Franco dropped inside the 15 by Woodring. He's played a big game, and so has Crable, 2 linebacker. Well, all 3 linebackers. They've been very proud of that position here in New York. Buttle, Blinka, Mel, Crosby, Woodring, Crable. Those 6 probably as good as any 6 in the league.
They've had a lot of chances today with all the running that the Steelers have thrown at them, and have come out on the short end in many ways, allowing a great deal of yardage and allowing control of the football for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And that's the end of the third quarter at Shea Stadium with a score. The Pittsburgh Steelers 27, New York Jets 7. Back after these messages from your local station.
Thursday moves are being made.
Diane's friend wants me.
Cheers starts a half hour earlier.
Sam, I want you, and I don't care who knows it.
Catch the action at 9, 8 Central Mountain. And following Cheers, Buffalo Bill rides again.
Oh, Eddie, come on, get up, act like a man.
Dabney Coleman is Buffalo Bill Thursday.
Now that's a hot lineup.
To get the best beer in the world, you have to speak German.
Beck's.
Beck's, the #1 imported German beer.
A free inspection at Midas will tell you if your brakes need fixing. Or you can find out for yourself, which can cost more.
To minimize interference, satellite antennas are usually located in the middle of nowhere. After all, they are sending and receiving signals to and from satellites some 22,000 miles up in the sky. However, now there's a new kind of satellite antenna. It sends a more concentrated beam and cuts down interference as much as 90%. So this one can be located in the middle of anywhere.
G.
No, GTE.
The most famous German word in the English language is Beck's.
Beck's, the #1 imported German beer.
The Raccoons and the Lost Star, Part 1, Tuesday at 7:30.
Today's game from New York is brought to you by Dodge Cars and Ram Tough Dodge Trucks. Dodge, America's Revolution. By Alcoa, Aluminum Company of America, world leader in aluminum technology. And by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team. For all you do, this Bud's for you. We go to the fourth quarter. Terry Bradshaw, John Stallworth, talking with one of the officials. Bradshaw was in a heated discussion with Chuck Knoll, heated in terms of they're really animated, really into their conversation. You see the statistics, 100 yards to the plus for the Steelers in total yards. They have the ball and a 27-7 lead. It's second down and 14. Stout. Nice catch out at the 27-yard line. Calvin Sweeney, who has one of the 3 touchdown receptions for the Steelers today. 14 yards on the play. It's close to a first down.
Being short of receivers, the Steelers given quite a scare late in the week. Sweeney pulled one of the ligaments in his foot, in his left foot, and was limping heavily. You see him paying little heed to it as he dives for a fine reception here.
They're going to measure right at the sidelines. It's Richard Todd's left thigh, bruised when sacked in the second half.
Using the ice to hopefully limit the swelling, which is a big problem with a major muscle injury, a deep bruise. It was a deep bruise like that that kept Larry Brown out of the lineup for a good part of the season. He's only been back a couple of weeks, and they thought it was just a bruise initially, but it was so deep and there was so many problems with it that he literally missed about half of the season.
Ball is at the 29 and ruled a first down for Pittsburgh. Well, with Todd's injury, and if the Jets lose, kind of figure that it'll be Ryan's day at Miami or night at Miami next Friday. You wonder, though, the key story is Bradshaw or Stout against Cleveland next week. Now they'll have Sam Rutigliano guessing. I'm sure that Chuck Knoll won't reveal that unless he has to. How serious is Bradshaw's injury to that elbow? That will be the question.
Now let's ask the question, assuming that Bradshaw is able to play, then what kind of decision do you make if you're Chuck Knoll? Obviously, Bradshaw needs to work to get sharp for the playoffs. But at the same time, do you want to risk him getting hurt in a game that doesn't mean that much to you? They cinch a playoff, at least a wild card, with their victory today. Obviously, they would like to go on if there is an additional incentive next week in Cleveland. Then they've got to play all out.
Well, that'll depend on Cleveland and Houston. You'll see that game on NBC tomorrow. Stout, ooh, dangerously close to Ken Schroy, intended for the tight end Cunningham. Franco Harris was also in the pattern. 3rd down and 10.
But Dick, as much as you'd like to believe that Cliff Stout could be the leader of this Pittsburgh defense, he simply has not taken the reins. He has not demonstrated in this season that he can be a consistent winning quarterback. And when you get to the playoffs, that's one position where you cannot have that kind of weakness. Your quarterback must be capable.
Stout on 3rd and 10. Ball bounding into a midst of Jets, but falling incomplete. Greg Hawthorne, the intended receiver. Lance Mel had his eyes on his 8th interception.
It's Hawthorne again. We mentioned that there have been a couple of those that have been intercepted, turned into points in the last few ball games, and that one right into the shoulder pad. Looks like he doesn't get his eye on the ball soon enough. That ball zipped pretty hard, but caught him right in the chest.
With 13.5 minutes left in the game, Colquitt's 5th punt. 46-yard average. No pressure. He scuffs that one out of bounds at the Jets' 49. So New York gets a break on the short kick by Colquitt. 22 yards for Craig. Bradshaw, who got the Steelers out in front 14-0 before injuring that right elbow. Then Todd here in the second half with a bruised thigh. Both starters out of the game. The Steelers in control, 27-7.
In these modern times, the person who goes to work may not have far to go. But at the Hat of the Month Club, the boss better keep moving. To keep the books, organize the files, write the letters, check out the inventory, find time to create, and still keep on top of things. Yet even a thriving business can reach a point of diminishing returns. A good time to learn about the IBM personal computer. With this tool for modern times, a person can quickly master such jobs as accounting or word processing. Even use the IBM personal computer to forecast growth. All helping the business person at home to wear many hats, while selling even more. And that can be a feather in anyone's cap. The IBM personal computer. Try one on at a store near you.
Let's say Pittsburgh wins today and Cleveland wins tomorrow against Houston and against Pittsburgh. Then they would both finish the season 10-6. In all the tiebreaker statistics, those are not the tiebreakers, Pittsburgh has the advantage. So the Steelers, by winning today, all but clinch the division title. The Raiders in Miami are already in as division champions. But the Jets still have time, and Ryan throws it to an empty place. As we pause briefly for station identification, this is the NBC television network.
This is WNBC-TV, New York.
There's the time remaining. Pat Ryan, number 10, replacing the injured Richard Todd.
Second is in 10.
Joe Walton. Been a crazy year for the man in his first year as head coach. He had a 21-0 lead here against Atlanta, lost that game. Way behind at New Orleans against a fighting team on a Monday night, rallied to win. He hasn't been able to win at home. Incomplete to Schuler, the tight end. Broken up by Ron Johnson. And a little extra push by Johnson, nothing serious.
One of the things that Walton talked to us about yesterday was the fact that he's been proud of the way his Jets have not quit. They haven't quit in this game. They haven't quit trying. They have quit being effective. They have not been effective today at all.
Third and 10.
7 wins plus 7 on the turnover chart. Minus 14 in the losses. That figures.
And that's what's hurt them again today. They simply have had the ball in the air and up for grabs.
Almost intercepted by Donnie Shell. That was right into his chest. Shell's had his share. All-Pro the last 5 years. He's had his 5th interception this year. Strong safeties don't always come up with that many, but he has 36 career interceptions. A free agent out of South Carolina State. So Ryan unable to complete a pass on that possession, and Ramsey is in punt formation. We'll see if he kicks. No. Lance Mel, the up back, or is it Crosby? Ron Crosby. And the Steelers said no way. Gains 5 yards. He needed 10. Pittsburgh's ball at the 45.
Well, the unfortunate fact of a play like that is that everyone on the field and in the stands was expecting the fake punt, and it didn't work.
And a fake run, it makes it all the more tough. I mean, the pass maybe, but the run really is difficult call. It's 27-7. Shea Stadium will become the old field. And here's another former National Football League home field. We'll let you think about that one. What teams played in that stadium? We'll be back.
Holiday greetings from Budweiser. The people who bring you Budweiser wish you and yours a happy and safe holiday season.
This is where the revolution began. Dodge Omni, the first fuel-efficient front-wheel drive American car. Backed by one of the best standard protection plans in the world, and it's logged over 13 billion miles. A solid resale record, Dodge Omni has proven itself on the toughest track of all, the real world.
Next Saturday, don't miss a special NFL 83. This one's an interconference war. The Cincinnati Bengals roar into Minnesota against the always tough Vikings. The NFL season goes into its final weekend. What a battle on NBC.
Tune up Old Lang Syne. And did you know that this was Comiskey Park, Chicago Cardinals home field, now the St. Louis Cardinals, and the Bears also played there. In fact, it was there in '63. George Halas and the Bears beat the Giants in the NFL championship. Frank Pollard dragged down by the shirt tail after an 8-yard reception at the Jet 47. Bob Crable with the strong mitts.
Crable was the all-time leading tackler for Notre Dame. Certainly an outstanding athlete, learning how to make his presence felt here as a Jet, but still a young linebacker, and it takes time to work your way into that middle linebacking position in a 4-3. That's a tough spot.
2nd and 2 for Stout. Franco, 40 to the 30. Mark Gastineau. Every time you see Gastineau chase somebody from behind, it just is remarkable speed at 265 pounds, running about a 4.6, and he just is as fast as most backs in the league, and he just caught Harris right now.
Well, I'm not so sure that Franco has had that kind of speed for years himself. Has always been a most effective runner. You see him pulling away from Lance Mel and able to outrun Mel, but Gastineau, just like an arrow into your screen, drills him and knocks him down.
First down, nevertheless, at the 28. Harris inside the 25, a gain of 5. 6 more for Harris. And for the day, Franco's totals now up to 67 yards.
Harris almost with as many yards in this game, within 1 yard, as he's had in the last 3 games combined. And that's good news for the Steelers. I think this is a confidence building time for them. They need to get their confidence pumped, especially this man, Cliff Stout. If Bradshaw can't go next week, they need him back in the lineup, and they need him to do the things that he can do well.
Stout to Harris, breaks the tackle, and is down at the 18, close to a first down. You know, Franco, personal goals, and he has so many records already, but he has had 7 1,000-yard seasons. Only Jim Brown in NFL history had 7 of them, and now has a chance for 8, and he'd like to have it. The Steeler teammates would like to give it to him. He started today 152 yards. Well, that's a little confusing. We see the receiving here, but the rushing yards we're talking about, 152 yards rushing today and against Cleveland to make that 1,000. Well, he's going to get about half of those, so he has a chance to be the only man to rush 8 times for 1,000 yards. First down, Pittsburgh. Wide open, Sweeney, touchdown. Calvin Sweeney.
For the touchdown to number 85, Calvin Sweeney. Pittsburgh leads 43-7.
Calvin Sweeney gives the Steelers an 18-yard touchdown, his second today. He only had 3 all year.
And the second touchdown toss of the day for number 18, Cliff Stout. We talked about confidence building. Very, very important. If he's going to be your leader, give him a chance to catch and throw the football.
So the Steelers now lead the New Jersey Jets 33-7. And the try for point by Anderson.
Kick is good.
34-7. Stout found the man open, and he fired one.
Little play action pass froze the defense just long enough for Sweeney to break open. He did a good job of getting his feet down inside the corner of that end zone. One down, the second one down.
I'll never finish by morning.
No problem.
Now, command the powers of Atom with professional keyboard, high-speed memory drive, and built-in word processor program, all in one package.
Oops, you gotta start over.
Relax, Adam. Do that paragraph.
Is that legal?
And print.
Atom, even a letter-quality daisy wheel printer.
You did it!
Adam, my launch sequence.
Is that legal?
Command the powers of Atom and program your future.
Tonight you're still a bachelor.
Tomorrow's almost here, so while you're still a free man, let's bring on the beer.
Whoa, whoa, on this night to remember, it's so clear. You deserve to celebrate with more taste than beer. The bull's got a taste so big, so bold, so smooth. Let's all party with the Schlitz Malt Liquor Bull. Don't say beer, say bull. Hey, gang, how about another bull? No one does it like the bull.
It's a night game. Memphis State Tigers are going out to Pauley Pavilion to take on UCLA. 2 All-Americans. Keith Lee against Kenny Fields.
Inside the Fields.
Next Saturday night on NBC Sports.
Calvin Sweeney was quick to tell you what an outstanding basketball star he was in high school before going to USC. Has his second touchdown, 5 for the year, as Stout takes him downfield 3 for 3, and it's 34-7 on the kickoff. 11 minutes left. Preston Brown, 30, and out to the 37. Brown and Springs have been the 1-2 return punch for the Jets, each leading the NFL punt and kickoff returns. But it hasn't been enough for New York as they are about to go 7 and 8.
31-yard return.
Brown springing out on that particular play. Most impressive. Almost broke it away, Dick.
Well, we were there when the Jets beat San Diego in the opener of the season, and they looked so good.
They ran the ball effectively in that game, and of course that made the passing game so effective for them. And we go back to it today. They have not been able to run the ball effectively in this game. It's been the difference for them.
Yeah, running won't do the job now. It's Lamb Jones, and he's to the Pittsburgh 44. Well, Lamb Jones has had his share of criticism this year, but you can't fault the way he's played the last month. And today, an exceptional afternoon, 7 catches, 146 yards, and the Jets' only touchdown. And he's going to have to go to a New Jersey.
Well, they've outlawed the tearaway jerseys in the NFL, but somebody tore that one halfway away, and he'll get a new piece of cloth over his head and shoulders. You see some of the frustration on the Jets sideline. Not only a sad season in many ways, but certainly a sad afternoon on their goodbye day to Shea Stadium.
Dumps it out to Barber. Incomplete. Jack Lambert was waiting, lurching right there, and they step away from the receiver as if he knew what was coming. Well, that's the value of a guy like Lambert after 10 years. You know, a lot of people don't realize with all of his brawn and muscle how bright he has to be to play his spot.
He's the man that calls the defenses out there. They're relayed to him. Woody Woodenhofer, defensive coordinator. He's the man who is the spiritual leader of that defense, the emotional leader.
Get the subways ready. Ryan going long to Walker. Wesley Walker, who has not had a good day today, hasn't caught a pass and yet has 60 catches this year. That's the best ever for Walker as a Jet. 7 of them for touchdowns. And he told us yesterday, but at that, it's been a frustrating year. Even though I've had a lot of catches, there have been so many times when I thought I had a touchdown. I was open, the ball was tipped at the last minute, or it wasn't quite there. He said, I just, can't be real happy about the year. I haven't had enough touchdowns. Yeah, maybe you never get enough.
Well, I suppose not. I think one of the problems he had earlier in this game, when he dropped a crucial pass, he wanted to do too much with it. Wanted to run with it before he caught it, Dick.
3rd down and a flag down and a pass incomplete.
Ryan down. It's been a hard day on quarterbacks. They've all spent time on their backs during this afternoon.
Offside against the Steelers.
That's something you don't really realize, what kind of a toll those shots take on the quarterbacks, even when they aren't sacked that much, when they're being hammered on. And most quarterbacks take that kind of hammer.
Offside, number 56, defense, 3rd down.
Robin Cole.
Well, you found yourself on top of a quarterback many a time as he was throwing. I'll let you think about this. Was there ever a humorous comment made by the Unituses or the Stars or the people you had to play against?
I don't know that there's that much humor in being sacked, Dick.
Not when you got your, in those days, 290 pounds of Merlin Olsen on top of you. Kenny Lewis to the 32-yard line. Lewis from Virginia Tech activated mid-year with all the injuries to the running backs in the New York stable. Rick Woods made the tackle. 1st down, New York. And Barber comes back in. Lewis goes out. I think one of the greatest surprises I ever had as then a fairly young reporter was going into the Baltimore Colts locker room and seeing Johnny Unitas stripped down. I mean, the man did not have what you would call a very muscular body, and he took such punishment and was able to withstand that through the years. Ryan throws it away wisely. 4 white shirts crowded along the sideline. They're almost like piranha looking for an interception.
That's number 79, Larry Brown, on the sideline with ice on an ankle there. With all of the injury problems the Steelers have had in their offensive line, it's big trouble. Jerome Barkham turns into a blocker as Robin Cole tries to go in, and he gets back outside on the scramble, doing what he should do to try and help his quarterback. Unfortunately, Ryan, unable to get the ball to any of his receivers, just fired it out of bounds.
Well, that was an interesting picture. The tight end staying in to take the blitz away from Cole, but then realizing that Ryan was scrambling, trying to ad-lib his way out into the pattern. That's that 33 years of experience. Oh, Mike Merriweather. He had the interception as Dunn had Ryan.
Kenny Lewis, number 22, a 3rd down back who's been pressed into service after the injury to Bruce Harper. Thought he had a chance at that football. A lot of pressure on Ryan on that play as he tried to get it out of there.
Gary Dunn. We're going to see Miami and Nebraska in that Orange Bowl for the possible national championship. Gary Dunn's grandpappy actually was there at the start of that University of Miami, was the president from 1926 to 1952. His dad and older brother of Dunn also played football at Miami. Quarterback draw, and that's a fumble that goes to the Steelers. Edmund Nelson, 64, was in the thick of it, and it looked like a quarterback draw. Hardly worked. And Robin Cole said, I'll just hang on to this.
Oh, pleased to get his hands on that football. Ball stripped away from Pat Ryan. 4th sack of the day. Opportunity for the Steelers to get their hands on the football again and move it down the field.
Well, a sad day for Todd and Ryan, but you don't have to think too far back to a man who brought some pleasant memories, Joe Namath, to Don Maynard. His first game, Namath's first game in '65.
After a night below freezing, after 3 hours with the lights on, after all these years, people still have more confidence in Sears Die Hard than any other battery you can buy all over America. At Sears Tire and Auto Centers, when we install a Die Hard, we install confidence.
There's more for your life at Sears. Dodge, and American Revolution.
This is where the revolution began. Dodge Omni, the first fuel-efficient front-wheel drive American car. Backed by one of the best standard protection plans in the world, and it's logged over 13 billion miles. A solid resale record, Dodge Omni has proven itself on the toughest track of all, the real world.
Apparently, there'll be no playoff present for the New York Jets. Santa, in fact, heading for the exits. He's looking for some, might be back to the North Pole, who knows.
Well, one of the things that Joe Walton's going to have to wish for Christmas, some replacements in his defensive backfield, losing a couple of fine players to the USFL this year.
That's right, Jerry Holmes, one of those. Another Lynn. And Franco Harris stays in the game here in the 4th quarter. That's one thing that has been consistent, as you see Holmes on his way to the new league, about Chuck Noll. He, even in a game with lopsided dimensions, 34-7, he has kept his veterans in. Bradshaw through the years at quarterback, Harris in, and maybe in this case sympathetic to Harris getting that 1,000 yards. What a job he's done. Took a team that had never won a championship. Now is the only coach that can say he's 4 for 4 Super Bowl championships. Harris stacked up on this occasion.
Dick, looking down at the sideline, seeing Bradshaw so animated, talking to the receivers, talking to Cliff Stout, I've got to wonder how much of an asset he could have been to these Steelers had he been willing to stay on that sideline during the season. And I believe much of it was his choice. He did not think he could handle staying on the sideline. He told me today, as I talked to him in the locker room, he said, I wish I had known what it would be like to sit on the sideline. I think I could have handled it. But it was not until last week when he actually was there that he realized that he could actually put up with all the pressure and not being in the game. I think it hurts him coming back in to have been absent from practices, to have been absent from the sideline that long.
Franco fighting, but unable to gain. Crable makes the tackle. Short of the first down.
Freeman McNeil. Well, in spite of the numbers today, he certainly ranks, in my book, as one of the finest running backs in this league, and he's a man that'll give you everything he has. No holes to run to today. Let's give some credit to that Steeler defense.
Well, and you look back at the season for the Jets, and if you're a New York fan, there's so many places where you say we could have won here, we should have won there. But the key was when McNeil went down. They were 2 wins, 5 losses without McNeil, and couldn't rally, even though they had 3 straight wins coming into this one. Colquitt to Springs at the 19. Kirk Springs, who had that dramatic punt return for a touchdown to the Superdome to beat New Orleans, stopped at the 30. A 39-yard kick, 11-yard return, and was 6 minutes and 44 seconds, which will seem like an eternity for those who remain here at Shea Stadium. The Jets have the ball. Outstanding early season basketball matchup. Both teams figure to be unbeaten. They are now. The Tigers of Memphis State with their All-American Keith Lee. Kenny Fields, potential All-American for the UCLA Bruins. Could be a battle of unbeatens at Pauley Pavilion. 11:30 next Saturday night. Hope you'll be with us here on NBC for that one. Pat Ryan for Richard Todd. Down the middle to Barkham. He fumbles. Rick Woods picks it up, and the Steelers have it just like that at the 44-yard line.
That's the 5th turnover of the day for the Steelers. They've turned the tables after coughing it up themselves last week 5 times, and 10 times in the last 2 weeks. They have been on the receiving end of 5 turnovers today.
Woods shaken up, as you'll see. He'll take a pretty good lick himself and is being helped off the field.
Barkham makes a fine catch. Best, number 25, Greg Best, the man who knocked that ball loose. And right here, Woods really gets leveled.
Johnny Lamb Jones.
Johnny Lamb, not afraid to stick his head in there as he made the tackle and sent Rick kind of wobbling to the sidelines.
Well, fan demeanor will be an issue in the final minutes of this one, and Franco Harris gets about 5. They're tearing apart, appears, some of the bleachers out under the scoreboard. Of course, some folks will look for a souvenir. There goes one home. Either that or some firewood. That's the old Yule log, Shea Stadium vintage. Yeah, they're throwing it out to their buddies out there. I guess they got the truck backed up. At the 49-yard line, Steelers ball, 2nd and 5. Less than 6 minutes left. Stout letting that 30-second clock run down. 6-5, 4. Franco short of the first down by a yard.
Both these teams just want this game to end now. There's nothing more to be proved in this one today. The Steelers have done what they set out to do. The Jets, with a miserable afternoon, would simply like to have a chance to get in and take a shower, lick their wounds a little bit, and try and put this game behind them.
Franco started the season at 3 100-yard rushing games in the first 4. It hasn't been that kind of year for him since, but looks like he might get 100 today.
Off to his fastest start and perhaps his slowest finish, but he certainly has rebounded well today.
Now he smells the playoffs. He's got a first down at the 40-yard line as he powers his way within 9 yards of the 100-yard mark.
Dick, well, somebody's going to be sitting in that in the front room. You talked about the matchup, Nebraska and Miami down in the Orange Bowl. Had the opportunity to do the Lombardi Awards, and one of the great winners there, Dean Steinkuhler, great right guard, pulling guard, who one of the men responsible for that Heisman Trophy. And along with him, Doug Dawson from Texas, Bill Fralick from Pittsburgh, Reggie White from Tennessee, the 4 finalists for that great award. And just like to pass along congratulations to all 4 of those young men, and in particular Dean Steinkuhler for being this year's Lombardi Award recipient.
Boy, he's a big horse in that offensive line blocking for Rozier. We'll see him on New Year's night. Well, January 2nd evening for the 3rd game in our triple header of Bulls on NBC.
It tells you a little bit about the size of college players. I stood with those 4 finalists and felt a bit small, let me tell you, just a bit small.
You know, I was looking ahead to the UCLA-Illinois game we're going to do, and the Illinois from tackle to tackle, and I think their smallest guys like 260. UCLA, I mean, they're all up in the 260s, 270 in the offensive lines today. Clock running, 3:37, 3:36 left. New York's finest is going to have they're going to have a busy time trying to protect the stadium, much less the people in it at the end of this game. Franco into a stone wall. That'll bring up 3rd and long. Marty Lyons. Here's a man I'd like to say something about. Number 93 of the Jets, Marty Lyons. Here's a big galoot at 6'5" and 265 and a tough man on the field. He has formed a Marty Lyons Foundation in which the money is given to terminally ill children. And he is contributing to his society in a very heart-wrenching way. In fact, one of the nominees to go to the Super Bowl this year passed away this week, and Marty Lyons was just as touched by that as the parents of this 18-year-old child, and he's got a heart as big as his numbers. We congratulate him on the good things he does. Mark Gastineau, and that's his first sack today. Not much of a dance, just a little salute. 19th sack for Gastineau. He led the NFL coming into today's play. Interesting, the fans who have cheered that war dance booed him that time.
Not much purpose in it here. Just didn't seem like Boris even got off the ball. He's had to move out in place of Larry Brown at that tackle position. You see the frustration for Cliff Stout. Wisely, I think, Gastineau elected just to flip his arm up on that one and not dance around. There's not much to dance about if you're a Jet right at this moment, or a Jets fan.
The musicians have gone home. High dying spiral by Colquitt, out of bounds. He won't be happy with that one. It's going to be the 22-yard line. So the Jets, with 2 minutes and 17 seconds left in the game, have the football. 24-yard kick, no return. Well, it's kind of a sour way. 10, 20 years. The Steelers are in the playoffs as a wild card. Are they a serious playoff team, Merlin?
Well, I think that's something we ought to look at. They certainly have done better in Super Bowl performances than any other team around, but they don't carry some of the qualities into this particular Super Bowl or into this particular Super Bowl playoff that they would like to have.
Kenny Lewis can't hang on. Woodruff on the coverage. It'll be 2nd down and 10. Tomorrow on NBC. And of course, Pittsburgh will be watching that second one. First, Seattle and the Giants. Cleveland Browns will be at Houston. Of course, a Cleveland defeat would give the division championship to the Steelers. New England at Los Angeles. The Rams in a dogfight. Baltimore and Denver. Elway and the Broncos tough last week. They're looking for a wild card spot. Kansas City and San Diego. All tomorrow here on NBC, beginning at 12:30 Eastern. Lambert very nearly with the interception.
Jack had his hands on that one. Dick, you asked about the playoff hopes for these Steelers. I think you have to have a couple of things going for you when you get into the playoffs. One, you have to be healthy. The Steelers are really not healthy. They've had a lot of injuries. They have a lot of injuries right now, nagging injuries in their offensive line, injuries to receivers. They certainly don't have all their people on the field. Bradshaw, for example, still a real question mark, even though he played well in the early going today.
2:07 left. Ryan ducking from pressure. And Shell had a chance at another interception. Not his day, although he has one.
2 consecutive plays where the ball was in Steeler hands. Something else you have to have going into the playoffs. You have to have balance. And with Stout in control of the offense, the Steelers have not been a consistent offensive team. You've got to be able to play your offense, your defense, and your special teams. You've got to have that kind of balance in the playoffs. And then you have to have big play people. Certainly they have a number on defense, but they don't have the receivers that they once had, and they have not had the quarterbacking of a big play quarterback during this season.
See Richard Todd leaving the field early. Ramsey, high soft kick to Scansey at the 38. Flag down as Scansey returns to the 48-yard line.
Henry Odom tipped Johnny Lynn, number 29, over from behind, and I think they're going to call him from an illegal block.
So under a guard of New York Police blue, Todd ducks through the tunnel. His last game as a Jet in Shea Stadium.
Illegal block above the waist, number 44 on the run back. On out.
2-minute warning.
2-minute warning.
1:49. Well, this one won't qualify for a fantastic finish, but as usual at the 2-minute break, we enjoy one from the past.
Alcoa presents Fantastic Finishes. 1974, Joe Namath and the Jets trail the Giants by 7 as Joe hands off right. Hold it, Namath faked right. He's running left. Broadway Joe has just fooled everyone in the Yale Bowl to send the game into sudden death, where the Jets win 26-20 on Namath's pass to Emerson Boozer, the first regular season game won in overtime in NFL history.
For the past 6 summers, Americans have had a special reason for picking up aluminum cans. For every pound of cans collected during certain promotional periods, Alcoa has sent a penny to the U.S. Olympic team. Over 2.5 billion cans have been recycled and almost $900,000 donated to the U.S. Olympic Committee. Recyclers of America, Alcoa salutes your gold medal performance.
We can't wait for tomorrow.
The win means that Pittsburgh is at least a wild card in the upcoming playoffs, probably a division champion. That to be decided yet, depending on Cleveland's last 2 games. The Jets are out. Pittsburgh ball, 1:49 left. And now a matter of Cliff Stout just taking care of the final seconds and going home. Meanwhile, well, I guess it's more than that, as Franco plowing straight ahead, still looking for the 100-yard day. I want to thank Larry Cirillo, our producer, Ted Nathanson, our director today, all the help in the booth, Jamie Adler, John Glasgow, Jim McLaughlin, Ron Zipkowski, and 99 yards, Joe Costanza. Oh, he's right on the mark again. I had it at 98, but Joe, you just can't believe how accurate he is. 99 yards. So Harris, undoubtedly, they know that on the sidelines for Pittsburgh, and Franco will still need around 80 next week at Cleveland. Oh, wait a minute, no, he won't. He'll need only about 50 next week in Cleveland, so he might well become the first ever to have 8 1,000-yard seasons.
Does that indeed mean that we're going to see a 32 come out of retirement? What did Brown say he was going to do if Franco broke his record? They're going to put on the pads again.
Yeah, well, he'll have to do that next year. Harris will have to break his record next year. 103 yards for Franco, and he'll come out. No, he won't. He goes back in the huddle. He's not afraid to work.
Well, you know what he said? He said, the more I carry the ball, the more effective I get. And when the running game is not working and you have to throw the football, Franco doesn't get many shots. And indeed, he seems to get more effective, has done in this ball game, has played very well.
Not unlike John Riggins of the Redskins. More work, the better he gets. Final play probably of this game and of the 20 years that the New York Jets have occupied Shea Stadium as their home base. And they leave town to the boos of the few that have stayed for the final gun. Terry Bradshaw was the story. Didn't play all year, didn't take a snap in a game, came in and in the first quarter delivered 2 touchdowns on 2 touchdown throws. He said no one thought he could do it. He came back and he showed the quality. Number 12, still one of the great quarterbacks in the game, even when he's not 100%.
All week long, I just kept thinking about pulling it off. I'm going to pull it off. I'm going to pull it off. They don't believe it. Bobby Lane doesn't believe I can do it. Nobody thinks I can do it. And I've got my mind in tune that if there's any way it can be pulled off, I'm going to pull it off.
Well, Terry, you made believers out of us. And we hope your arm is well enough to get you a chance to come back now and play in the playoffs.
So the Steelers are in the playoffs as at least a wild card. The Jets' hopes are gone, as is their tendency here. Subway is on its way to New Jersey. We'll be back in a moment.
First, someone gets an idea. Then someone else may look at it differently. Even add a thought or two. Technology from a company called TRW helps ideas get around. Because getting an idea from one place to another is as important as getting an idea. Tomorrow is taking shape at a company called TRW.
Budweiser salutes the coaches and trainers of the 1984 U.S. Olympic team.
And a good follow through. Clean, beauty. Fight it hard. Don't let me catch you. Don't let me catch you.
A couple runs, bring it back. Running it off. That should give you a little bit quicker time through the gate.
Not so good, Gary. We'll get him tomorrow. Good extension. Head up.
To the U.S. Olympic coaches and trainers, the team behind the team, this Bud's for you.
Well, as the fans look for souvenirs here at Shea Stadium, reminding them of the 20 years of the Jets, and certainly not of this game. 34-7, the final. The Steelers win it, and Terry Bradshaw, well, he was He was full of adrenaline this weekend. There he is with Ahmad Rashad. We'll get his reaction. How serious is the elbow injury? What are his thoughts about today as they look ahead now to Cleveland next week and the playoffs? They have qualified. We'll join Terry Bradshaw, Ahmad Rashad here at Shea Stadium. But first, let's go to NFL 83 and Len Berman in New York. Oh, right after these words from your local station.
A promotional fee has been paid to NBC by United Airlines. We serve more of this land's top 100 business centers than any other airline. Fly the friendly skies.
I'm Reverend Leroy. How would you like to spend 90 minutes in heaven? Watch Flip Wilson host Saturday Night Live with Stevie Nicks. Reverend, how could you? The devil made me do it.
A free inspection at Midas will tell you if your brakes need fixing. Or you can find out for yourself, which can cost more.
Why do 100,000-mile flyers choose United?
Finding a face that stands out in a crowd takes me in and out of New York a lot. So finding the right airline is important. And for me, United stands above the rest, with New York schedules that fit mine beautifully.
United offers more non-stops to Chicago than any other airline.
I never know when I might spot a cover girl, but United makes it easy for me to be in the right place at the right time. And that's a great discovery.
People who fly for a living fly United's friendly skies.
Come on, come on! Lost by a nose. My landlord should have my luck.
Another winner.
What, are you kidding? That horse belongs in Central Park, and you played him?
I have a little exposés.
And what am I? Chopped liver? The experts picked my horse.
Experts?
Oh, how do you find those long shots?
I pounded the situation, and it just hits me.
Hey, Rock, that horse I gave you just won.
For everyday excitement, nothing beats OTB.
The Christmas Raccoons, a holiday special tonight at 7:30.
The last game the Jets will play at Shea, it was all Pittsburgh today. Cliff Stout to Calvin Sweeney. The Steelers romp 34-7. This is the Budweiser NFL Report, brought to you by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the U.S. Olympic team. For all you do, this Bud's for you. Hi again, everyone. Welcome back to our New York studios. Len Berman for NFL 83. And so now 5 of the 10 playoff spots have been clinched. The Steelers are a wild card team at the minimum, so they join the Raiders in Miami in the AFC and Dallas and Washington in the NFC, 5 of the 10 playoff spots. There's the final score. Pittsburgh 34, the Jets 7. Now, standing by at Shea Stadium, the man who played his first game of the year in fine fashion, really got the Steeler offense rolling. Terry Bradshaw is standing by now with us at Shea.
Terry, you hadn't played all season. You came out and played exceptionally well. What was your biggest adjustment today?
Well, the thing that I was worried about mostly was the pass rush, because I hadn't faced one other than in practice, and those are my teammates. And today I was concerned whether or not I would be able to concentrate on the coverage and not worry about the pass rush, and I was able to do that. And I knew if I could do that, then I'd be able to at least go to the people that should be open.
All right, the big question, how serious is your injury?
Well, I thought I had gotten hit on the touchdown pass to Calvin, and you told me I didn't. But it's swollen and very sore, and I'll just have to wait probably a couple of days and go from there.
The amazing thing to me watching you play is you had your timing back. All your balls were right on target.
Well, I had thrown the ball well all week. And even last week when I first came back, I had been accurate with the football. That was surprising to me because I'm not that accurate a passer.
All right, now here's the touchdown ball right here, Terry. Tell me what's happening.
Well, this is a scramble. I had a pass out to Benny, and Benny was covered, and I moved out of the pocket, and I saw Garrity come across, and I didn't think I could get the ball to him, and I thought it was going to be intercepted, and he just caught the football.
Did you have second thoughts on that ball? Because you did throw it all the way across the field.
I had second thoughts on it. I hadn't really put my arm in that kind of a position before, but and I couldn't really throw it the way I normally throw it, but it got there. It put us in, it gave us the lead, which is what we needed to do.
All right, tough situation now. You go into next week. You've got kind of a bad arm, but you do need the work. What's going to happen next week?
Well, I'm personally going to have to see if I can work. If I can't, probably another great thing that came out of this game today was the fact that Cliff Stout came in, played with a lot of confidence, moved the football well, threw the ball well, got some touchdown passes, and his confidence has to be soaring. So whether I play or not, we've got him rolling again, and that's going to be a good plus for our offense.
Well, Terry, it was a great comeback from a great player. Congratulations today, and I hope you're well next week.
So do I. Thank you very much.
Back to you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ahmad Rashad and Terry Bradshaw. Here's a guy who hasn't played all year. A pressure game. Jets really need a win. He comes in, completes 5 of his first 8 for 77 yards and 2 touchdowns. A remarkable performance by the old pro, Terry Bradshaw. We'll have highlights of the game when we continue on the Budweiser NFL Report in just a minute.
This Bud's for everyone who takes the power and sends it down the line.
This Bud's for you. There's no one else who does it quite the way you do. So here's to you. This Bud's for you. For all you do, the king of beers is coming through.
Yeah, just for you. That distinctively clean, crisp taste that says Budweiser.
For all you do. This Bud's for you.
All right, so the Steelers clinched the playoffs for the 10th time in the past 12 years under Chuck Noll. So let's show you the highlights of a day that was all Pittsburgh. Final score of 34-7. Thanks for the memories at Shea, but as we mentioned at halftime, those memories were all Pittsburgh's today. Terry Bradshaw, gallant performance coming off the injury. First action of the year, 17-yard pass to Greg Garrity. Interesting, that's Garrity's first touchdown catch of the year. An excited pair, Garrity and Bradshaw, 7-0 Steelers. Now, early second quarter. Calvin Sweeney was a big man today. There he takes the 10-yard touchdown pass. It was 14-0 Pittsburgh. Rough day by Richard Todd. Ron Johnson on the interception. Carried it all the way down inside the 10. It was all Pittsburgh, second quarter. Now, the first half ended in fitting fashion. Todd was intercepted, overthrowing Lamb Jones. Intercepted by Donnie Shell. That is how the half ended. 20-0. It was all Pittsburgh. The score was very indicative by what had happened. Bradshaw, of course, had the bad elbow, could not return. Richard Todd, the bad thigh, he could not return. So both starting quarterbacks were out. Now, Stout, 13 yards on the pass. Complete. Benny Cunningham, touchdown. 27-0 Pittsburgh at the time. Now in the third quarter. Pat Ryan replacing Richard Todd. This was his finest moment. 3 quick plays. That was the touchdown to Lamb Jones. But then Stout really capped it. This is what the Steelers need from him next week and then on in the playoffs. 34-7. Cliff Stout happy. He got the touchdown pass to Sweeney, much as Bradshaw there had done. The Jets unhappy. But farewell to Shea, and that's how it winds up 34-7. Let's go right back to Ahmad Rashad at Shea Stadium. Cliff Stout, a very central figure in the Steelers' postseason plans. Let's go out to Shea now and Ahmad once again.
Thanks, Lenny. Now, Cliff, you had a great drive in that fourth quarter. You guys took the ball, controlled the ball all the way down the field, and ended up with a great touchdown pass.
Well, that was nice to get it there. What it was a play-action pass to Calvin, who was supposed to run an outcut. But the defender on that side just sat there and kind of watched him run by. So Calvin just stuck up his hand and went to the corner of the end zone, and we barely got it in there. But it's a good feeling. We've been struggling the last few weeks, losing 3 straight games. We needed a big day like today.
Had to be a great confidence builder to have a drive like this and then cap it off with a nice touchdown pass.
Well, like I say, we've been struggling, and touchdown pass has been hard to come by for me the last few weeks, well, all season really. And to play like that today, and Terry came in, played well, and then to come in after him and get the job done was good for the whole team.
What about your preparation all week? Now you find out that Monday that Terry Bradshaw is going to start this week. How did you prepare for this game?
Well, mentally it was kind of tough. I wanted to finish the job that I started this year and try to finish the season, but I understand we had to do something when we were struggling. It was hard to keep up for it mentally. I was a little bit down. But then again, I think I was able to relax a little bit, kind of clear my mind a little bit and stop pressing as I had been last week, and it worked out well.
Now, you and Terry were huddling quite a bit on the sideline. What's going on in all those huddles?
Well, he was trying to get me to open it up a little bit. One of the problems we've had this year is being a little bit too conservative, just sitting on the ball. And what we had to do is mix it up on first down. He did it well in the first half, and then our 2 touchdown drives in the second half, we were throwing on first down, mixing things up, keeping them off balance, and it worked pretty well today.
Well, it's a lot easier to mix things up when you got a lead, isn't it?
Well, you can do it with a lot more confidence. We're all out there relaxed. Everybody was having fun and laughing in the huddle. The defense just played fantastic today, put us in a good position all day long.
Now, you had to win one of two. Was your team feeling a little bit of pressure coming into this game, wanting to clinch that playoff spot now and not going into the last game of the season?
I think so. We wanted to not go into Cleveland and have to win the championship there. We wanted to get a little bit of momentum. We're going to be up for the Cleveland game. We have to continue to play well and take it into the playoffs.
All right. Congratulations to you, Cliff, and good luck to you next week. Back to NFL 83 and Lynn Berman.
Okay, thank you, Ahmad. So the question this week, will it be Stout? Will it be Bradshaw? The regular season may be ending, but the questions about quarterbacks don't. We'll be back with a lot more to tell you about as we wrap it up on this special Saturday edition of the Budweiser NFL Report, when we continue from New York in just a minute.
I'm taking better care of my body. Better care of my skin, too. With Skin Bracer Aftershave, shaving can make your skin hot, irritated. Thermal photography shows it. But Skin Bracer cools your skin, tightens pores. That's the tingle. Smells great, too. But it's not cologne. It's skin care that feels good. Thanks. I needed that.
Skin Bracer takes care of men who take care of their skin. Skin Bracer Aftershave.
By Menon.
Budweiser salutes the coaches and trainers of the 1984 U.S. Olympic team.
Set up and a good follow through. Clean, Judy. Fight it hard. Don't let me catch you. Don't let me
Get
catch
a couple
you.
runs, bring it back, and running it off. That should give you a little bit quicker time through the gate.
Not so good, Gary. We'll get him tomorrow.
Good extension. Head up.
To the U.S. Olympic coaches and trainers, the team behind the team, this Bud's for you.
And that sad look in Pete Axtell's eye. Well, a lot of people thought the Jets would win today, Axtell.
First Dick Enberg, then Len Berman. Ahmad Rashad even got his licks at me today. But, you know, week 5 of this season, I made the statement, I'll go a respectable 60% for the season, and all anybody will remember is the guy picked Tampa Bay against Green Bay. They lost 55-14. Week 15, I learned my lesson. All they remember is Tampa Bay, plus this idiot picked the overrated Jets. But it is time to take a little bit of a look at the Jets. They've been bearing the curse of the most talent. Somebody said a couple years ago they have the most talent in the league. The New York press believed it, and the players believed it. I suspect somebody from Miami or Buffalo was the first one to say it because of what's happened to the Jets since. I don't think they have the most talent. I think they have the most excuses. Biggest excuses, USFL defections, injuries. Well, look at the team that just wiped them off Shea Stadium today. They lost coaches as well as players to the USFL, and the whole offensive line, the receivers, and their star quarterback have missed various parts of this year. They came in, they won it 34-7. Time to not stop listening to Jet excuses. Let's think about the malaise on the Jets. Part of it, I don't blame it all on Mark Gastineau. I'm always getting on your case, Mark, but I got to do it one more time. If Gastineau dances, there's 10 other guys on the defense that have helped to make the play, and they're not getting the credit. Here's a quiz. Here's a sack. Couple of guys in there. Mark gets the sack, jumps up. Guess what the score is at this point? 34-7. Jets are down. He's dancing. Jerry Holmes said this week he doesn't appreciate it. A lot of guys don't appreciate it. It's just one symptom of what has to change on the Jets. Dave?
You know, something that is overrated, I think, the importance of talent in winning a football game. Terry Bradshaw gave a kind of definitive proof of that today. Bradshaw wasn't a super talented quarterback. His passes didn't have any extra special zing on them. In fact, the one pass that he threw hard for the second touchdown, the one pass where he really had to come over the top and push with that bad elbow, was the pass on which he hurt his arm. But before that, his simple ability to read a zone, to get the ball away quickly, and to get it accurately to the spot was all more important than the power of the arm to get the ball there. Of course, the big question for Pittsburgh now is what's going on underneath the wrapping, underneath the ice pack around Terry's elbow. The surgery, that's apparently all fixed. The problem is tendonitis around the elbow, muscle pulls that took place when he was in rehabilitation after surgery. He's been taking a brand new kind of therapy, a sort of electric acupuncture for it. Maybe that'll help him this week. Meanwhile, as they say, Stout came on and had a very excellent second half, which has got to help build his confidence in case Bradshaw isn't ready to go. Bradshaw, though, I think proved today, Len, that the head and the heart and the ability to ignite the club are more important than the physical talent of the quarterback.
He really showed it. And if we could take another peek at what's going on out at Shea, the last football game the Jets will ever play there, the police have just come on in force. They have marched the length of the field, trying to clear fans off the field. Fans have taken portions of goalposts, portions of seats, portions of the turf. So the police have just now cleared off the field any remaining straggling fans, and there's the march they just took from one end of the field to the other. Perhaps better forward progress than the Jets got most of this day. And this was some of the goalposts coming down as well, as the Jets fans may not have a team in New York, may not have a winning team at Shea, but at least they may have a souvenir to carry forward from the 1983 football season. Now, a word about the playoffs. Pittsburgh clinched the wild card spot. They clinched the AFC Central if Cleveland loses to Houston tomorrow. Now, if Cleveland wins tomorrow, Cleveland plays Pittsburgh next week. If Cleveland wins that game, both teams would be 10-6, which would mean it would be a tiebreaker procedure. It would come down to the 5th tiebreaker if Cleveland wins 2 in a row now. Pittsburgh is way ahead in points in that net points within the division 5th tiebreaker, which means you will very likely see Cleveland trying to run up the score tomorrow in Houston because of the net point situation. So if you see Cleveland with the ball late in the game winning 30-0 or winning by any kind of margin, and you see them going for a touchdown and wonder why they're doing it, it's the net points in the tiebreaker, as Cleveland still has a shot at winning the AFC Central. Now, when we come back, we'll have more to tell you about on our Budweiser NFL report. We don't have any souvenirs here from the Jets game, but at least we can show you some pictures as the goalposts come down for the last time at Shea. We'll be right back.
First, someone gets an idea. Then someone else may look at it differently. Even add a thought or two. Technology from a company called TRW helps ideas get around. Because getting an idea from one place to another is as important as getting an idea. Tomorrow is taking shape at a company called TRW.
Okay, everybody, what do you say we make it Michelob Light for the winners?
Catch you later.
Yeah, it's a whole new game when you're playing for Michelob Light, the rich, smooth taste you can compare to any beer you like.
And our final score once again, Pittsburgh knocking off the Jets 34-7 to clinch a wild card spot in the playoffs. Let's send you back to Shea Stadium. The gentleman who broadcast this afternoon's game, Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, standing by in what's left of Shea Stadium. Gentlemen?
Well, we're part of the artifacts. There's a youngster on his way to taking home a souvenir. Threw away one cloud, said, I can't get the 20, so Dad, I'll just settle for this. And someday he'll tell his children about that moment.
I think, Dick, that there'll be a lot of people who will perhaps remember this final game, some who just as soon forget it. But perhaps the most interesting memory for us will be of Terry Bradshaw. We talked about him riding in on his white horse to rescue his teammates, and in some ways, that illustration of leadership and of emotional, well, he was the emotional catalyst for his team today, illustrating again the importance, not necessarily of the physical side of the game, but the emotional side of it.
Well, another issue, the loyalty. Fan loyalty, player loyalty. Players are jumping to new leagues. Fan loyalty, a team goes from Oakland to Los Angeles, fans are forgotten. And now even cities are forgotten. New York City, they have to feel an emptiness. The Jets are gone to New Jersey, and they go away a loser. Back to NFL 83.
Thank you, guys, and the Jets are now